The Cebu Metropolitan Area includes 4 surrounding cities of Danao City, Lapu-Lapu City, Mandaue City, and Talisay City. The region is the financial and administrative capital of the Central Visayas Region. Cebu Province has a population exceeding 3.3 million. Be with us in the Visayas region for Asia's CEO Cebu 2023, presented by Megawide. Major sponsors are Airspeed, Foundiver, Parks BPO Solutions, and PLDT Enterprise. Welcome to Asia's CEO Cebu 2023.
Before we officially begin the program, please rise for the invocation to be led by Ms. Ana Sagado, Megawide Manager Corporate Communications.
Present amongst us today. Come, bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision. Lord, we pray for unity. Build in us all a deep respect for one another so that your family may be one. Lord, we pray for hope. Come, stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Lord, we pray for vision to make the Philippines a first world country. We ask all this in the glorious name of Jesus. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang binirang, buyan ka ng magiting, sa manluluping, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ko bagaw, ay hinagang tula, kawit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng atawad ko'y tagumpay na nagkikinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magkikinig. Lumanang araw ng warhabit pagsingka, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hinigaya na pagkay ng akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
To kind of welcome everybody to this facility, we'll have our good friend Dottie Wergler join us. We knew her from her days with Marco Polo, dare I say, so they snatched her over here to really to build this into a real world-class facility. And I'm telling you, you would have a hard time finding places that are any steps above this in the world. So it's a really beautiful facility, and I don't know how you get your people to smile so much, but somehow you did. Please, Dottie Wergler, come on up and let's welcome everybody to your facility.
Thank you, Richard. I hope you're enjoying the lunch today. It's been prepared with love by our culinary team and of course served by our heartwarming and service from the heart service team. I would like to acknowledge the presence of a representative from the Office of City Mayor, Mayor Ahong Chan, and the Office of Congressman Cynthia Sinden Chan. I believe she will be attending later on today. Richard and Rebecca Mills of Asia CEO, to the distinguished guests and speakers of today, our friends from the media and the digital industries, welcome. Maayong buntag, maayong hapon na kanakong tanan. welcome to the world's gathering place, the Sheraton Cebu Mactan Resort. On behalf of the whole Sheraton Cebu Mactan Resort family, I would like to express how extremely honored we are to be in your presence and host you in our humble abode in the beautiful island of Mactan. The onset of the pandemic has brought tremors to the industry. Some businesses were lost, some livelihood were put on hold. Truth be told, it wasn't the most wonderful time in history. But slowly and little by little, we are now able to pick up ourselves. On the ground, with tourism back, flights are resuming, and businesses are thriving, and constantly the world has started to change anew. The gathering today is a testament that we have survived, and together we will show the world that Cebu is capable of what we are capable of, being the first Marriott International Resort in the Philippines. Sheraton Cebu Mactan Resort made history. And today, with all the brilliant minds in this room, we will continue to make history. The gathering today of some of the leaders in infrastructure assures us that Cebu is still booming and leads to further development. Nonetheless, businesses in our community flourish not only because of the hardware, but also because of the people who takes care of them. Indeed, the Cebuano warmth is marking indelibly in the world, proving that we are ready to take on the renaissance of the world today. Please allow me to express my sincerest gratitude to Asia CEO for bringing this event to our home and allowing us to showcase our Sheraton Cebu Mactan Resort as a venue for meetings, conferences, and simply a Cebuano home that gives pleasure and fun. Be assured that when you do come here for leisure and relaxation, we give you that promise. Once again, daghang salamat for delighting us with your presence and maayong pag-abot sa Sheraton Cebu Mactan Resort.
Thank you very much. Keep up the great work you and your people are doing. It's an inspiration. So it's nice to see. And now for opening statement, we'll have Chris Arvon of Airspeed. Come on up. Logistics. In Philippines, a lot of good entrepreneurial organizations like this, coming from nothing, and now, how many people now? Over 1,000?
Yes, over 1,000 already.
And SM has acquired a lot of their organizations, so you're working closely with them. So they're a real major force now in logistics. So glad to have you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's really an opportunity for us from Airspeed to be part of this Asia CEO Link Cebu. Welcome to Asia CEO Cebu Conference, and Airspeed is really thankful for that. This is where leaders from across the region come together to discuss and shape the future of business in Asia. The conference provides a platform for stakeholders to exchange ideas. Yes, indeed. Share experiences and build networks. This is the drive growth of innovation in the business landscape. As we embark the journey, I feel honored for Airspeed as a whole to make it happen, standing before you today representing Airspeed. recognize this conference importance in its role in shaping the Asian business landscape. We are committed in working with other stakeholders to drive regional growth and innovation. We want to thank the organizers, the sponsors, and partners who made this event possible. Your support and commitment to this conference have enabled us to unite and share our vision for business in Asia's future. Cebu, a city of step in rich history and vibrant culture, was once a center of trade and commerce during the Spanish colonial period. And today, Cebu has evolved into a dynamic hub of economic activity and emerged as a true logistics powerhouse. This has transformed goods transportation, distribution, and delivery across the nation. Cebu's strategic location in the heart of the Philippines and its well-developed infrastructure position it as a crucial gateway for trade and commerce. The city, home of Mactan Cebu International Airport, the second busiest airport in the Philippines, and the second busiest in the Philippines, it also hosts the Cebu International Port, one of the busiest ports also in the country. Cebu, known for its logistics capabilities and tourism industry, the city has numerous historical landmarks such as the Magellan's Cross and Basilica del Santo Niño. These landmarks attracts thousands of visitors each year. Its pristine beaches and crystal clear waters also draw tourists from all over the world. Overall, Cebu rich in history, vibrant culture, well-developed infrastructure, and strategic location make it a vital center for trade and commerce in the Philippines. As the city grows and develops, it is poised to become an even more influential player in the country's economy. Build Better, More is the theme of this year's conference. It embodies our collective mission and urges us to build a prosperous, sustainable, and inclusive and resilient future. For airspeed, building better means continually creating opportunities for our stakeholders. And through Amazing Philippine Digital Economy Corporation, or APEC, we launched Kahanga-Hanga PH and Speed Gifts. These e-commerce platforms are our advocacy program aiming to help medium, small, and micro enterprises. And building more signifies airspeed, our commitment to improving and innovating continuously. We must strive to expand our horizon, broaden our perspective, and embrace innovation as a driving force behind our endeavors. Our partnership with Light Rail Manila Corporation brings you to the country's newest and most convenient contactless delivery option, which we call it PopBox. Currently, it's available at 19 stations at LRT 1, with plans to expand soon in the Greater Heights. We will learn from each other throughout this conference, exchange of ideas. Indeed, we will be learning from each other. This can drive growth again and innovation in the region. I am confident that after the discussion of this afternoon, there will be insightful and productive. And I also know that we will emerge from this conference with a renewed sense of purpose and direction. Again, in behalf of Airspeed, I thank Asia CEO team, Rebecca and Richard, the speakers and attendees for supporting and committing to this conference. And let's work together and let's make it happen for Asia's future. Maraming salamat.
Very good. Thanks, Chris. Good to see you again live in person this time. Keep up the great work you guys are doing. Yes. Yeah, good guy. A nice group, too, I gotta say. We've got to know them well, haven't we? And, yeah, it's nice to see. Because I think when we first met them, they had 400 people. Now they have 1,200 or something like that. So it's there's a lot going on, guys. So, our next speaker, telecommunications. We have Rofil Magto. He's the communications manager for Visayas and Mindanao of Globe Group. So glad to have you.
Taking a seat at the table in a new world. In a market brimming with opportunities, our nation could not be more ripe for hypergrowth. A lot of what the Philippines has to offer is often overlooked and remains untapped. These include innovations and capabilities in fintech, health tech, edutech, and more. The potential of the Philippines is overflowing with life-enhancing ideas that can be pursued on a large scale. As one of the largest English-speaking nations in Southeast Asia, we can be your partner to tap a wealth of opportunities around the world. We are your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers, the people that can lead you into the future of wonderful possibilities. A champion of Filipino innovation, rooted in solving everyday problems with compassion you can feel, care you can rely on, using technology you can trust. A digital solutions company leveraging our assets and expertise in uplifting the life of every Filipino. We are local at heart, but we think global. We have a story to tell, sharing our voice to create a globe of good. Investing in the Filipino because we see a Philippines where families' dreams come true, businesses flourish, and the nation is admired. We are the Globe Group. Filipino now, global tomorrow. The Philippines.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everyone had their fill of coffee and lunch today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And for those who just flew in, came in, Cebu, welcome to the Queen City of the South. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Ms. Rebecca and Richard. So I am Rofil Sheldon Magto, Regional Communications Manager for Visayas and Mindanao. I represent the Globe Group. And today, I am very excited to share our story, a story on purpose-led transformation and how our leaders and everyone else work together to embrace sustainability, embedding at the heart and core of what we do at the company. So we entered the pandemic in 2020 as a telecommunications company, and yet, after a very challenging years, we emerged as a digital solutions platform with more than 32 portfolio companies under our care. We invested, we took risks, we explored ways, and we explored areas such as fintech, adtech, big data, e-commerce, and the latest on climate tech, GoGro, if you're familiar with it. And with all these, it has not been an easy ride. And I assure you that we've done everything that we can to bring growth to our customers, to our company, and to serve our customers. I have been part of Globe for 17 years already, and I have seen some of the painful years already, and this is something that to be proud of, to share with you after a very long time. So today, we are more than just a telecommunications company. We are a digital solutions platform with 86.7 million customers nationwide. We have a strong workforce of 15,000 around the country, partners with more than 900 local and international suppliers, vendors nationwide, internationally, and a signatory of the UN Global Compact. We are very proud of this one because it signifies our strategy and our ambition to participate in global standards on sustainability. But of course, we understand that while we have many companies under our care, under our portfolio, telecommunication still remains at the very foundation of what we do. That is why we're continuously wrapping up our network solutions, implementing 5G all over the country. Right now, we have more than 3,046 already around the country, covering 97% in NCR and 90.18% in key cities in Visayas and Mindanao. And because of this, we are happy to share with you and humbly sharing with you that they've been recognized by external auditors and international standard organizations such as Ookla as the best mobile, most reliable network operator and most sustainability-driven network operator in 2023 by Standard Insights. Now, this is not just about telecommunications, but this is also about our ambition and our action to infuse climate action, sustainability, positive societal impact into our operations. Keyword sustainability. That is very important because at Globe, sustainability is our purpose in action, and all our programs and aspirations are anchored in sustainability, are anchored in treating and how we treat people right to create a globe of good. That is why, for us, it is very important because we know that a sustainable company is purpose-driven. Lots of our customers will love us, or your customers will love you if you are a sustainable company and purpose-driven company. You avoid unnecessary financial losses because you have good brand reputation, and you have embedded best practices in corporate governance into your operations. You also have a resilient network and increase your investors' confidence and stakeholder trust. These are just, I'm showing you some of the targets that we've made, and hopefully you will join us in this endeavor because sustainability and achieving these targets will not be done by just one company. It has to be a concerted effort of all companies, public and private institutions, government, stakeholders nationwide. Beginning with, we started our journey by prioritizing what we can, beginning with network innovations and green solutions. So we made sure that all our network innovations are upgraded. Right now, we are reducing 50%, 30% to 70% of our energy consumption because of these changes and because we have tried to fully understand the value of sustainability in our businesses. We have also ventured into alternative solutions, and you can see there a sustainable transport, the electronic vehicle, if you're going to BGC. And speaking of electronic vehicles, we have Gogoro, the latest in mobility electronic vehicle and battery swapping organization from Taiwan, brought here in the Philippines, in Manila, and hopefully it will expand here in Cebu. Hopefully we can see these motorcycles, sustainable motorcycles soon in our streets in Cebu City. And of course, sustainability, when you talk about it, you don't just create or embed it in your operations, but also you find ways to expand and partner with other organizations such as Active Fund, Kickstart Ventures, and AWS in creating innovations that can help improve the quality of our air system, of our air. And also we have G Climate and ISDAP some of our latest innovations that allow predictive weather monitoring and allows fisher folk to understand weather systems before a weather disturbance comes in. So this is our commitment to providing our customers and our partner communities with something that's sustainable and responsible for the communities. Climate education is also one. We know that we are really into in the digital space. So we have partnerships with WWF on some digital platforms on Camp Kalikasan and Global Climate Champions. We have tried to make our customers understand into little chunks that can be easily understood, chunks that can be easily identified and can easily be put into action. That's why we try to gamify everything, even as complex as climate action. And talking about technology, we understand that some of the people here are not able to plant trees or to support ecosystems that are beneficial to our planet. That's why we deploy technologies such as GCash and Globe Reward System for you to be able to help protect the primary forest in Bukidnon, the beach forest in Iloilo, in other areas of the country, Zambales, and also in Cebu, in Candirag, there are plantations, forest plantations here in collaboration with GCash. Accessibility and online learning. This is very important because as part of the telecommunications industry, this is something that we really have. This is our imperative to make the internet a safe online space, especially for our children. So you can see here our impact, our reach, and because of these programs, we have actually help decrease students from engaging on chats with strangers, and they have actually increased percentages in terms of changing their Facebook settings from public to private. So these are some of the impacts that we are bringing because of our programs. And as I've mentioned, the internet, the technology right now also has its unintended consequences. That's why we are helping and working with other organizations to make the internet a safe online space for everyone. Please watch this 1-minute video so that we can have an idea of what we are talking about on cyberbullying and online sex abuse and exploitation of children. Thank you.
Ganda ka! At yung uniform mo, napaglumaan ba yun ng ate mo? At yung buhok mo? My gosh! Nag-shampoo ka ba? Huwag kang tatabi sa amin sa kantin, ha? Sip-sip. Plastic. Dugyot. Tsaka, harot. Pok-pok. Malanti ka. Iniwan ka tuloy ng tatay mo. Ba't ka pa kasi nabubuhay? Ka na, girl!
So in 2021, we launched this campaign called MakeITSafe.ph. It is an online platform where you can see all the latest languages that your kids and your children know about that we don't even know. So please visit if you have time and make sure to support our programs. And the final slide that I'm sharing with you is the Hapag movement, which I encourage you to join. We did not do this alone. In our united fight against hunger, we invite everyone to please work with us in making sure that every Filipino may be able to eat proper meal a day with proper nutrition and with proper capacity building and skills training. In this way, we can work together and make sure that we have a sustainable and responsible environment for everyone. Thank you very much, and we hope that we see each other again for our partnerships in the future. Maraming salamat.
Truly a different atmosphere from the last time I spoke. And I can say that for two reasons. One, back then, the atmosphere was tentative, wait and see. We were still in the period of recovery from the effects of pandemic, as well as the recovery from the devastating effects of Typhoon Det. And secondly, at the last time we spoke, the forum was virtual. But today it's all good to see you all in the flesh. Nothing beats a warm smile, a firm handshake, or just the intimacy of interactions. And I think our friends from Shelton, Ms. Lottie Werder in here, would agree with me that we would have missed the beauty of this place, the resort, and the warmth of the hospitality if the forum was virtual. So if you've attended the last forum, you know that digitalization has always been the topic. And today, while I still want to talk about digitalization, not much about whether or not companies should go digital. The pandemic took care of that. Rather, the conversation is now shifting to how can we maximize the use of digitalization to future-proof your business. Gone are the days that we have to convince clients to go to digitally adopt. Our observation is that most of these clients, in some way or another, have already in the process of their transformation. But the maturity, adoption varies from one company to the next. So as the world is accelerating its digital transformation aspirations, we in the PLDT Group and our subsidiary ePLDT are again responding to the changing times. PLDT continues to be aggressive in investing in world-class infrastructure, serving as a backbone for global communications and tech services. As we roll out more international strategic cables in the next 5 years, PLDT aims to reach the capability level in international capacity. With the launch of Jupiter Cable System in July of 2022, PLDT tripled its international capacity and likewise completed the landing of the short end segment of the Asia Direct Cable System in Cebu, Batangas. Once fully operational, the 9,400 kilometer cable system will add at least 36 terabits to PLDT's international capacity and bolster the Philippines' digital advantage to serve global hyperscalers. In March this year, PLDT expanded its total fiber footprint to over 1.1 million kilometers, consisting of about 231 kilometers of international fiber and over 874,000 in domestic fiber. By year end, total capacity will reach 100 terabits once Asia Direct Cable System Consortium finishes the construction of all landing sites and the installation of submarine cables across East and Southeast Asia. So PLDT will complete another cable system called Apricot, and that is expected to be on service by mid-2025. And this will raise PLDT's total international capacity to more than 130 terabits and reinforces its links to Guam, Japan, Taiwan, and Singapore, making PLDT the undeniable leader in international capacity. The rollout of these new cables is fueled by the sharp increase in demand for international network capacity and the vibrant business conditions of the Philippines, making it ideal for regional transit hub. All this infrastructure will ultimately connect to the growing network of data centers owned and operated by our subsidiary ePLDT. ePLDT today is now a company solely focused on multi-cloud data center solutions with world-class cybersecurity tools. ePLDT's virtual network has the largest data footprint with 10 data centers strategically located around the Philippines, 2 two of which are located here in Cebu, and our data centers have the most number of global certifications and are already serving international hyperscalers and big local enterprises. We continue to expand our capacity, ready to serve additional requirements of current and new customers from here and abroad. Our 11th data center, now under construction, Vitro Santa Rosa, will be ready by early of 2024. And it will be the most modern and sustainability designed data center today in the Philippines, exceeding the power capacity of all our 10 data centers combined. And EPLDT is not sitting on our laurels. While we're building our 11th data center, we are already in the plan for our 12th data center, which will be more than double the capacity of our Santa Rosa site. At the cloud front, EPLDT, together with our cloud partners, Microsoft, AWS, Google, Salesforce, and Palo Alto, continues to build our ecosystem of partners to design multi-cloud solutions that are bespoke for their digital transformation requirements at whatever stage in their journey. EPLDT's end-to-end solutions include assessment, developing and implementation, a seamless migration to a cloud-based environment, cloud optimization, and managed services. Our goal is to make sure that you maximize your potential of cloud deployment for enhanced customer experience, agility, and increased revenue. Our managed services ensure that your cloud solutions continue to be responsive so you can focus on managing your business. So we are also deploying solutions like AI, machine learning, data analytics. Today, PLDT and Smart is using these technologies to elevate customer experience, improve collection, automate SIM registration process, and customize best telco bundles for our customers. And as we rely more on AI, we will need more computing power, faster hyperconnectivity, stronger cybersecurity solutions, and massive digital infrastructure to support the future that lies around the corner. On the security front, EPLDT continues to build up our cybersecurity expertise. We understand that the customers wanting to migrate or increased investment in cloud solutions are deeply concerned with data breach. That's why we take cybersecurity very seriously. As EPLDT's offerings leverage on PLDT's infrastructure, PLDT, on the other hand, relies on EPLDT's expertise to secure and strengthen their multi-cloud data center and cybersecurity deployment as their customers demand for more digital services. So the bold moves that we are undertaking now are very much aligned with the government's aspirations for the Philippines to move up the value chain. The key here is to fast-track the digitalization. Digitalization will bring in more foreign direct investors, allow us to be more competitive globally, and bring about that much-needed inclusive economic growth. So this is the time that for us to come together. No company or government can do this on their own. There must be collaboration from all sectors. And we in the PLDT group of companies are in a strategic position to work with the private sector as well as government towards a digitalized nation. Our vision is to take you further in your respective digital aspirations. And because we are here in Cebu, my hometown, allow me to take this opportunity to highlight that we in PLDT Visayas has the local capabilities to unlock new horizons and bring in new businesses to our enterprise clients internationally and domestic. Our strategic location and robust digital infrastructure will ensure seamless connectivity with global markets, enabling companies to expand their reach and tap into new customer base. We look forward to having meaningful conversations with you and possibly finding an opportunity for synergy. This is a digital era, and we are excited to work with you in taking your business to the future. Together, we can only go further. Daghang salamat sa inyong tanan. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks, Candon. Yeah, good to see you live for the first time. We had him, I think, a couple of times online.
Yes.
So, it was for 2 years. Okay. So very good. Yeah, a lot going on. Telecommunications is really rolling ahead, so it's very exciting times, especially because a great number of people freelancing. I don't know if you've heard of this, but where people will, work online and do a good living with it. Our next speaker is one of the, I would say, premier operators of IT services in the nation. Asim Roy has just flown in, I think, a half hour ago, whatever it was, and just got here and then scrambled to get here, so he's a bit tired, but I think he's caught his breath and ready to go. So his company, we've watched him for years. I think he's been here now in the Philippines for how long, Asim? 12 years, so a real, from the early days. And you'll see him, he's a good personality and good at promotions and stuff, so he's really done a good job advancing the country. He's got 9,000 people just in Cebu region alone. So I thought Found Ever was the be-all and very, very impressive, that's for sure. But 9,000 people here is amazing. He's also just elected not too long ago, the president of CEBO, which is the Cebu IT BPO Association. We also have Buddy Villasis of CEBO here, the executive director, an excited, enthusiastic fellow. So I'm told this is an organization worth belonging to, so if anybody wants to subscribe or whatever you join, please talk to either of these guys. But yeah, with an interesting story from a really interesting fellow, please welcome Asim Roy, country head of WePro Philippines. Glad to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate your forum. Good afternoon, guys. Mayong hapon. Can I have more energy, please? This is about to say morning, right? Wonderful. Yeah. So, my pleasure. I just arrived from India at 11:15 Cathay Pacific flight. Changed my clothes in my car, and then here I am. I'm yet to see my presentation, which my team prepared, so we'll at least hope and be what really comes out. Yeah, but so I'm Asim Roy. I manage the country operations of Wipro. Been there in the Philippines or Cebu for almost 12 years, a place I now call home. Pretty much exception to the rule where most of my peers are based in Manila, but I've fallen in love with Cebu, so I stick around in Cebu. It's a great place to be there, and I keep on insisting, Richard and Rebecca, that this is the place. If you ever want to retire, this is the place you have to be here, right? So great place, great people. So while I represent Wipro's portfolio, but in the spirit of stewardship, I also represent CIBU, which is the leading ITBP organization for Cebu, and I'm also a board of trustee on the IBPAP, the country's premier ITBP organization. So that's a sole representation from the countryside. So this is not a Wipro story. This is not just a Wipro story. This is a Cebu success story. This is Philippine success story. An industry that we are extremely proud of. It's an industry that we know it's one of the biggest contributors to the GDP, and we look forward to how it kind of mobilizes, keeps the momentum for the Philippines economy, and continues to create more employment. So I'll start with some broad numbers. Some of you would have seen these numbers. So this is the Philippines IT/BPM industry, which almost closed at $32.5 billion for the year 2022, employing almost 1.57 million Filipinos. Multiplying it in indirect employment, this is a multiplier effect of almost 5, so that we are talking about another 6 to 7 million people being employed indirectly, taxi operators, housekeeping, contractors, everybody came around. In terms of growth, we had some phenomenal growth, barring that aside the 2020, which was more of a black swan event. But if you look at it, again, the GDP growth, which kind of struggled in these years and has kind of still been in the 4 to 5%. You see an industry which is almost growing at almost 10% plus CAGR. It's a phenomenal growth given the kind of tough time the economies globally are facing. So IT BPM for Philippines continues to be the biggest single contributor to the GDP, almost contributing 8%. Our goal remains over the next few years, moving more and more of these businesses, which is around 1.57 million jobs that Filipinos have. We aspire between 22 and 28, which is a 6-year roadmap that has been devised for the IT BPM industry. That the today's share of Metro Manila is around 69% of the total number of people employed in the IT BPM industry. This number for countryside has included cities like Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, and 30 plus cities that are part of the Center of Excellence and next wave cities and digital cities, they barely employ 31% of the headcount, which is 486,000. So the focus remains as an industry, as investors, whether you are a Wipro, whether you are a Foundever, whether you are representing CIPO, whether IBPAP, that how do we increase this employment to ensure there is a sustainable economic development, and everything is not concentrated to just Manila alone, right? So that has been a kind of focus. So IBPAP along with DICT has anchored on these 5 Central Excellence cities, followed by the next wave cities and the digital cities. So we stay very bullish about how cities like Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, Bacolod, and a few other continue to grow. I'm extremely proud of what we have been able to achieve in Cebu, and we'll talk about it later, but that remains kind of a focus area as part of the portfolio that we are managing out here. Now coming to Cebu, a city that, I will say I'm absolutely in love with 12 years being here. This continues to be the center of excellence. There was a time when Polos used to publish a report for IT BPM industry, and Cebu used to figure continuously or consistently among the top 10 cities when it came to outsourcing. So that's pretty much, punching beyond your weight, right? So a province of 3 million, a city of 1 million, and you are in the top 10 outsourcers. So Polos has stopped publishing that report post-pandemic, but Cebu continues to be the most dominant city after Manila NCR in terms of employment. Great locators, we have almost 300 plus organizations who have operations here. Some of them have their headquarters in Cebu, that includes Wipro, Lexmark, sizable presence from Lexmark and a few captives as well. Then roughly 40,000 graduates every year, so that means from a talent pool, again we are extremely blessed. Numbers I've spoken about, if you look at the headcount we are talking about outside Manila NCR, which is like 400 plus, 408 plus, Cebu takes almost 50% of that headcount. So definitely that's the area of focus. That's one city that is kind of growing at a real big pace. Blessed with great universities, access to provincial cities. We're extremely proud of the work-life balance that Cebu brings in, so that also shapes up in the lower attrition. And I'm sure, those of you who have flown from Manila and you know it very well, in the terms of infrastructure, our airports is one of the finest in the world. I think after Changi, if you have to find some best airport outside Southeast Asia, you'll bet it's Cebu Airport. The longest suspension bridge is now in Cebu. Most of the fanciest hotels, New Star and stuff like that, it's all happening in Cebu. So I think this is the place to be. This is the where investors need to put their money and see the dividend and the benefit that one can incur on their investment. So our focus as an organization, Wipro, whether it's CIPO, remains how do we continue to leverage the great talent pool that the city has. When we look at the DICT criteria for judging a city, there are 4 criteria that come into play. One is the talent. So Cebuano is extremely blessed, it's a civilizational shift, everything started from Cebu, and I think all Cebuanos take pride in that fact. So talent is there, best of university. Second is the infrastructure. I think there's some way to go, but I think from an overall big infrastructure, Cebu has all the right infrastructure, plus the real estate that's so critical for development. And I'm sure friends from PLDT and Globe are, in any case, making huge investment in telco. That's going to be a big differentiator. Third comes the cost. No matter you like it or not, that makes a lot of difference. The very fact that you almost draw a 15 to 20% difference in cost, whether it's real estate or in people cost, makes a lot of sense for somebody to come to Cebu. And then there's the business environment, whether it's LGUs, whether it's governor, whether it's mayors. I think we have got fantastic support during the COVID, pre-COVID. I think when the whole of Manila NCR was struggling with definition of DCQ, GCQ, and ECQ, God knows how many queues that we had in Manila NCR, Cebu was consistently, I barely remember just 2 months of ECQ and everything was back to normal, right? So I think those are the kind of things that you judge the LGUs on. I think we have all the right ingredients to make this city and the province successful. So this is a broad vision at an industry level, that how do we shift, this is a bit of it. This number is for 21, but if I look at 2022, the number of people employed in Metro Manila is now 69%, and roughly 31% is for provincials. The goal over the next 6 years, that includes the year gone by, is that by end of 2028, roughly 54% of employment, new jobs created in IT BPO industry should happen in the provincial cities, roughly 46% in Metro Manila. That means that, during the next 5 years of this roadmap term, the growth has to happen in the provincial cities. Cities like Cebu will take the lead, and that's the expectation to be absolutely certain when I talk about Cebu. We wish the similar kind of growth for other cities also in the provinces, but that's the kind of number that these 5 years are going to be defining moment for the Philippines IT BPO industry if the sector grows faster in provincial. In fact, during the pandemic, provinces did better than the NCR. So the expectation that similar kind of momentum will continue for the rest of the 5 years. So what we are looking at is by the end of 2028, this number getting balanced to some 60% Metro Manila and 40% in provincial. So practically that's out of the 1.1 million new jobs being created, more than 600K jobs getting created in outside Manila or provincial cities. So I'm sure our team in Cebu and CIBO and Wipro itself, we stay committed to see that kind of phenomenal growth. Okay, so now to Wipro. I think from a stewardship to Wipro's contribution out there. So Wipro is a purpose-driven global technology services company in consulting and in BPO services. We have over 250,000 employees, operate in almost 67 countries, supporting our customer communities and the planet itself. We are big into sustainability initiative, thrive in a digital world. So I spoke about purpose. So what is unique about Wipro is that 67% of Wipro's wealth, I will repeat, 67% of Wipro's wealth is irrevocably committed to philanthropic initiatives. So that means for every 100 peso that we earn, 67 peso goes into a philanthropic fund which is never touched. No board resolution, no guidelines can change it. So that's something that our chairman envisioned. He said there's nothing out of the kind of empire that we have created. There's enough money for us to ensure the promoters, the employees get their share, but globally, that's the kind of budget that we have put into our sustainability initiatives. We have been ranked consistently as one of the most ethical companies globally for 12 years in a row by Ethisphere Institute. We have a fierce reputation of leaving money on the table if we have an ethical dilemma of winning a deal. We have been on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for 13 years in a row. That's again key criteria for us that we are just not focused on profit, we are also focused on how we serve the communities and the environment around us. So that's Wipro globally. So Wipro in Philippines, we are roughly around 11,000 colleagues between Cebu and Manila. We do operate out of smaller cities like Panglao, where we go out of client location. We are a pioneer in the provincial model. So even 15 years back when everybody was going to Manila NCR, I think my predecessor thought that even 15 years back Manila was too congested. So we came to Cebu, we saw great connectivity, international flights would come to Cebu even 15 years back. There were great real estate, talent would be there. So we first set up, as I said, an exception to the rule, we set up our operation in Cebu. Then we expanded to Manila in 2010 and 11. We are among the largest private employer in Cebu, so it's like saying 1% of Cebu City actually works with Wipro, if I just look at the population. We are winners of multiple national awards, that includes ICT and HSU awards, we'll talk about a bit later. Between Cebu and Manila, like I said, we are among the largest private player, largest media company in the Philippines. The strength of our brand in Cebu remains by the fact that almost 45% of hiring is done through employer reference. Just by word of mouth, with no partners involved, we get our hiring done. So we hire almost 3,000 people considering the operation and the seasonal brand. So you can imagine almost 2,000 people get employed just by word of mouth. We have massive capabilities. We are not just a BPO firm, we are into core services of IT, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, cloud, etc., engineering. So that means we do primarily a lot of our IT services work out of Manila, which we are trying to make sure that as we scale up, we are able to get more and more IT services work to Cebu. That's the next frontier that we are trying to capture, not just for Wipro, but CIBO is extremely focused on getting more of digital skills and technology services in Cebu. We support over 50 global customers, which is primarily from the Fortune 500 companies. I did mention about our leadership in CIBO and ITCAP, so that's some of the engagement and investment that we have done in the Philippines IT industry. So I not put too much focus on technology. We thought that we'll just keep our focus more on the association and the engagement that we had at industry level. We had been regularly part of the hybrid discussion, whether it was through PESA or was it through BOI, both and as a company president and the president of CIBO. We had so many engaging discussions on making hybrid possible for our industry. We had continued to have great engagement with the LGUs, whether it's ex-mayors, present mayor, and the LGUs that are there in the government. We have worked extensively with Panglao and other regional organizations to ensure that Wipro gets its share of support in many of the initiatives. We have also been engaging as an entity which is an Indian MNC. We see a huge partnership developing between Philippines and India. And it has been getting stronger by the day. Not sure how many of you follow through this. I'm part of an organization called IBF, India Business Forum, which is a think tank under the Embassy of India based in Manila. We are pushing for affordable tech, affordable defense, and affordable medicine. That's one of the big engagement areas where Wipro, as a founding member of IBF, is working on some of the partnerships. We see the two countries being blessed with the 3 Ds, which is the dividend of democracy, demographics, and demand. The very fact that we have democracy in the two countries, the very fact that we have a growth rate whereby the majority of our population is actually under the age of 30, and that's the kind of demographic dividend, and there's a massive demand. I think we are all consumption-based economy, so there's a huge scope for engagement. So you will see more and more our involvement, not just from pure industry, but at a national level also. We're engaging with the government through our partners in IBF and the Ambassador of India and Philippines. I spoke about our commitment to sustainability. We recently committed around $80,000, and this is money spent on CSR initiatives in Cebu and Manila, predominantly in Cebu. So we are involved in primary education, primary health, ecology, IND initiatives. So these are some of the initiatives that we have carried out with multiple partners in Cebu that includes supporting primary education, tree plantation, working with NGOs like JCI. So this is the money that's already spent in the last 6 months. That's the kind of funding that we are doing for our CSR initiatives, and there's more coming on our way. Come October, Wipro throws the biggest fund run in Cebu. Last time when we did this fund run, that was in 2019, we had almost 8,000 participants. We are hoping to cross that number by 10,000 this October. So this is the biggest run for any kind of philanthropic initiative that we do, and the money contributed, the money raised to those runs are used for philanthropic initiatives. And that's the proof of putting. Richard and Rebecca had been part of some of these big initiatives, and they were the pioneers of ICT awards. So we had been featured as the best company outside the NCR at the ICT awards for 3 years consistently, before we were told last year to take rest and go to the Hall of Fame and be a sponsor. So that's not an award just for Wipro, that's an award for Cebu, for our commitment to sustainable economic development, making sure that we are providing for the employment and the talents. And I'm grateful to Asia CEO. We were last year pitched against one of the biggest IT BPO companies. I don't take their name, but we were the Service Excellence Company of the Year grand winner. So that's again not just a lot of it's a lot of all the companies that are based in Cebu. We're extremely proud of what we have been able to achieve together, and we look forward to a further, stronger, greater partnership and how we take to the next level. Thank you so much.
Bravo, team. Very good. Good to see you, my friend, and good to see you looking good. Yeah, we'll see lots more from Asim, I think, over the years. I think he will end up spending his retirement here, is my suspicion. Quite a few guys are, it seems. Okay, next, speaking of other associations you might like to be part of and join and so forth, but we're so pleased to have Charles Kenneth Coe, sorry, I gotta give you, okay, come on up. He's the president of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the full name of it, and this is a very, if you don't know, if you've landed, this is a very well-established organization. I think you're the 50th some president, and it's been around for almost 1,000 members. So if you want to meet people and get to know what's what in this region, this is the fella to talk to. So we're really glad he came with us. Yes, also president of Cebu Steel Corp, on the board of the Cebu Contractors Association, and many other activities. So really a pleasure to have and get to know Charles Kenneth Coe today. Very nice.
For that, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to Richard and Rebecca Mills for inviting Cebu Chamber to give us some time to share what we've been doing. So first of all, I'd also like to dispel some myths and rumors about what Cebu Chamber is. So I get comments that, oh, it's just a social club or something, but no, really, our staff and our members do a lot of serious work for the good of Cebu. And also, even some of our political leaders think that we are a Cebu City Chamber. But actually, our members come from all over the provinces, and we also actively recruit, or we actively try to form chapters. Like we have a Cordova chapter, we have a Mandaue chapter, and hopefully soon we will also have chapters in Danao, Karkar, Bogo, and other cities as well. Because it's really good to be part of a chamber. And if you're not part of the Cebu Chamber, at least be part of your professional organization. Like if you're a BPO, be with Cebu. If you're a hotel, be part of HRA. And there are so many other chambers that also do, because it's better to have a community and a voice. So sometimes it's hard when you're just alone and trying to change things, but as a community, as a group together, we can band and make things happen. So please allow me to go through my presentation. Throughout the years, CCCI has played a pivotal role in fostering Cebu's business growth, propelling it towards global competitiveness. We have witnessed the remarkable transformation and progress of numerous business and individuals, a testament to the unwavering commitment and collaborative spirit of our esteemed members. Today, I am proud to highlight our key programs that are helping shape the future of our region. Under our three-point leadership agenda of connecting opportunities, growing businesses, and creating value, envisioned as the voice and engine of Cebu's business growth, the Chamber has been in the forefront of various initiatives to advocate sustainable socio-economic development, particularly of Cebu and Visayas. We have been in constant pursuit of excellence by leveling up engagement in activities that promote and enhance interest and growth of the business community, consistent with the concerns, welfare, and economic development of the general public, and the country's developmental objectives and sustainable development goals. Tomorrow, we will have the opening salvo of our Cebu Business Mobility in SMC site, which will focus on the 4 Cebu's economic growth, such as tourism, ICT, entrepreneurship, and creative. Our primary advocacy is for a more competitive Cebu by pursuing ease and lower cost of doing business. The passion and commitment of business leaders and champions are palpable as they address pain points and pursue enabling ecosystems for business to thrive and be more competitive. This is also another myth that we have sometimes with our new members, So when you join a chamber, it's actually not the chamber's doing the work. We actually depend on our members who are also active to do the work, to push for their advocacies. We recently published an opposition to the water price hike of MCWD. We netted a joint statement of the board that there will be no price increase in the water for the next 2 years. Cebu Chamber also advocates in the halls of government, development councils, and special bodies where its voice is heard expressing not only the sentiments and concerns of the business community. Cebu Chamber has reached an esteemed status of being sought and heard, referred to and deferred to as the voice and vanguard of Cebu's business community. A recognition arising not only from present day, but also from years of relentlessly pursuing advocacies and influencing policies, undertaking programs and projects while maintaining good relations. These create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. We have facilitated notable events, including courtesy visits from esteemed consular offices and trade attachés, such as the President of the India Business Forum Association of the Philippines, Korean Consul General Mr. Song Wen, U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Commercial Counselor Paul Taylor, Commercial Counselor of Austrian Embassy, Ms. Christina Stieber, the Philippine Youth Entrepreneur Association, and virtual meetings with His Excellency Martina Redevin Netischen from South Africa, among others. All these help us to strengthen our international ties and open doors to diverse opportunities for Cebu. Just yesterday, we also met with the Taiwan Trade Facilitation. One of our cornerstone initiatives, the Cebu Investments and Development Concierge Center, a project in partnership with Cebu City, stands as a testament to our commitment to shaping Cebu City as an investment gateway in the Asia Pacific. This project acts as a bridge between investors and opportunities, providing essential support services to drive economic growth and create employment opportunities. Recently, we successfully conducted the CIDCC Investment Forum and Networking Dinner, bringing together key stakeholders to explore avenues for growth and investments. Cognizant to support the national government by aligning our programs, the Chamber has continued its tax and accounting business clinicking program in collaboration. Cognizant to supporting the national government by aligning our programs, the Chamber has continued its tax and business clinicking program in collaboration with the Cebu chapter, which has provided practical guidance and insights on tax and accounting matters. This initiative empowers business with the necessary knowledge to navigate financial challenges and optimize their operations. Moreover, in the growing food industry in Cebu, we extended a series of food and safety capacity building activities, such as training programs and exposures, to guarantee that our members uphold the highest food safety standards and contribute to the overall well-being of our community. Recognizing the significance of the rich fishery and marine resources in Cebu, we have sustained our partnership with the Apos Foundation through the Fish Visayas Project Phase 2 program on the Tayan Island,
and expanding by including Bataan Island, particularly Cordova, to increase and make sustainable incomes for the fisher folks and MSMEs, not only in fisheries, but also in food-related value chains in Central Visayas. Consistent with supporting the fishery sector, we completed the final implementation of the dual education training in seafood processing industry, where 26 graduates are holders of the basic qualification certificate as seafood production workers, quality inspectors, who are already employed with our industry partners. This program has not only addressed the industry job skills mismatch, but also increases the employability of the workforce and helps sustain the industry. Aside from the food and fisheries, various training programs are provided to micro and small businesses, cooperatives, and livelihood groups such as bread and pastry and seafood training, basic bookkeeping and accounting, and financial management, digitizing your business, housekeeping, and small engine training program, whereby helping the community accelerate rebuilding and recovery to support the local economy. In our pursuit of creating value, CCCR remains actively engaged in advocacy efforts aimed at easing the cost and facilitating the ease of doing business. We work closely with government, agencies, and stakeholders to identify and address barriers, streamline processes, and create an engaging environment for businesses to thrive. By actively advocating for the reduction of bureaucracy and regulating business burdens, we foster an atmosphere that encourages innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, our program initiatives are not mere words. They are a testament to our commitment to creating jobs and business opportunities for Filipinos in Cebu and the Visayas. Through connecting opportunities, growing business, and creating value, the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, with over 800 member companies, remains steadfast and unwavering, fostering an enabling environment where collaboration, innovation, and sustainable growth prevail. We believe that by working together, we can unlock the full potential of our region and pave way for a prosperous future. As we gather here today, surrounded by brilliant minds and inspiring leaders, let us seize this opportunity to learn from one another, forge new partnerships, and embark on a shared journey towards a brighter tomorrow and leave a legacy to generations to come. Thank you.
Joy is one of the persons who's really working hard to make sure it retains its historical look and feel and all of that. So she's founder of the Cebu Heritage Conservation Council and one of the main advocates of maintaining, revitalizing the historic Cebu waterfront.
So I'm going to be talking about aspirations. You see, whenever we have projects, by the way, I'm an architect, so most of the things that I'm going to be talking about are real estate development. So most of the times when we have projects, we send out bulletins saying we have jobs available. But what I want to talk about now is the process of how we are able to bring jobs through our projects. As architects, we're focused on theme parks and resorts. Hospitality, so most of the things I'm talking about will be that. So where I'm coming from, you take a look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The two basic how do you do this? When we focus on the first two bottom lines of needs, it is always easier to achieve the rest above. So we're focusing our projects, using them as tools to be able to address the bottom line.
I think it's the same for all of us, no? Most of us here have had a chance to address our aspirations. Like, we've been able to take the courses that we've been always wanting. We have a job if we want, but a lot of our people do not have that. So what we try to do in our projects is, to dig down into the community that surrounds the projects and ask each one, what is your aspiration in life? And when we ask them what are our aspirations in life, it's not about having 3 meals a day and education. It's about you, what do you want to do? Do you want to be an actor, a stuntman, an engineer, a doctor? And are you working on that? I mean, are you fulfilling that? So many of them, in our 38 years of experience in doing this, are not working on something that addresses their aspirations. So what we do is try to do that. I do a lot of projects for consultancy for the UN, and this is also where I'm coming from, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And in most of our projects, we always have to have a positive impact on people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. Also, the Philippines has this long-term vision, again, 2028, where we find out the Filipinos value the most is strong family and protein size, a comfortable lifestyle, and a secure future. So this is the process that we engage in. It's called a community local resource mapping. It's asset-based. And the key is linking micro assets, linking the resources we find around the project and the macro environment, which is the project itself. It is a fundamental technique in capacity building programs. I think many of you here are familiar with CSR. But what I find most common in CSR projects is as companies are doing it just for compliance, no? But it's more an event than a program. So what we're trying to do is to partner with these companies and do this work for them in meeting the people in the community around face to face. So with your project, whether it's a real estate project or not, we create jobs that address the local folks' aspirations. And this actually benefits the LGU, the local folks, and the developer also. And so when aspirations are addressed of the three of them, it's not only the common folk, it's also the LGU that have their aspirations. The local folk we find are able to contribute positively to community development and to the nation as a whole. More importantly, crime rates go down. And this is what is a very positive impact for that. So this is how we do it. We gather everyone and find out what do you want to be, no? What are the issues connected to attaining it or not attaining it? And then we find people with skill. Identify local and tangible assets, the flora, the fauna, the water. Connect all of them and see how all of these can be used in the project. I'm going to give you the examples of what we did in our past. So we do an aspirations workshop first, and then we have to fill up a questionnaire, and then we group people who like interests, and then we ask them how they part of this project. This is what we do for the carbon revitalization project. So there are many, many benefits here. The key here is in speaking the language of the LGU, speaking the language of the local folk, speaking the language of the developer or the owner of the project. When each of these languages are addressed, for sure this will be a sustainable project. So when it comes to social change, art education becomes irrelevant. This is something that was told to me by one of my mentors many years ago in 1982. And he said, no matter what PhD degree you have, it's useless. You need to speak the language of the people that you're talking to for them to be able to. So there are three groups of people you have to talk to: the LGU, the local folk, and the developer itself. So these are now samples of our project. What we do is after going around the community, around the project, we talk to the barangay, and then we hold the aspirations workshop, and then we tell them to map it all out. We map out. If you're a carpenter, you live here. If you're cooking, carinderia, you live here. If you're a seamstress, you live here. It's a map of resources, no? And we asked the barangay captain to put this in the barangay hall so that everybody can see it. And even putting that in the barangay hall already brings their spirits up, no? And then for the others that need training, we partner with TESTA. And so the key here again is collaboration and partnership. So this is a sample of our significant findings. Now you can see that how many of them want public service, engineer, police, and then we group them all together. They will all be part of construction or operations for the project. So with the short-term indicators for the improved quality of life, number one, we see their houses brightly lit at night for some reason, no? Happy faces. And then we see all these children who are running around already in school. Of course, their housing. But one thing that we find notable when you address their aspirations is you're able to gather volunteers for your whatever project the barangay has. And this is a very positive thing.
Now this is Plantation Bay. We were the architects and planners of Plantation Bay, and it was also a community project. The paintings that you see around in the rooms and in Kilimanjaro were all, one day we were walking and we found a lot of street boys at 2 o'clock playing basketball, and they told us that they didn't have money to go to school. So we gave them a book, we gave them canvas, everything, and now they painted everything. And up to today, they're still making the paintings and still selling the paintings. The hammock was actually a group of ladies who were making macrame placemats. He said, if you give you a bigger thread, you'll be able to make a hammock. So again, tonight, to this day, they're still selling those hammocks. And the bamboo showers that we have are made of bamboo because we just got them from the site. The bamboo light fixtures were made by the women around in Barangay Marigondon and Barangay Subak-Basbas. The women cannot leave the house because they're taking care of their children. So we had them make it, and every 5 o'clock a multi-cab would come and pick them up. So this is the kind of community work that we did with them. They were all part of the construction. This is Carmen Safari. We are also the master planners and architects of Bin Safari, and we also did the same thing. And one thing that was notable was there were so many farmers all around in Carmen Safari who were so scared of Don Michel Lulier, they didn't know how to approach it. So now they're the ones who are planting for food for all the animals.
So this is one notable work that I did in Guam. It was created, this was published. And this is again, this was a partnership with Micronesia Area Research Center, the government of Guam, and the Exploring the Land Foundation. This is the oldest Spanish village in Guam. It's a ballad. There were only 2 families left. Why? Because all the young ones went to the main city. No? And by the way, this is also very important because this is where Panglao-Tagbilaran and Petro served. So the people there were sort of ashamed because they were cooking in stove, they were still cooking with fire, and they were still making what's this? Brooms, and then they were making tuba. So what we said, no, these are all assets. Let's bring them all out. And since it was in the beachfront, we decided to make a village for them. And here, you can see the old ones. The senior citizens will all know about this. For them to be able to see how to cook with fire versus the rusting of stoves. How to break the coconut. And right now, they even have pamphlets already showing that this is now a destination. So I'd like to talk about strategic placemaking because this is where I think most of you can participate, can contribute as developers. In the areas near you, if there's a flyover, for example, if you make some places that are livable, it's very, very good for business also. But again, you have to communicate with them, ask them what they want. Now, this is at present our main project, and this is a partnership with the Megawide Foundation, the City of Cebu, part of the tourism and DPI. Here, we have designed a heritage walk for Cebu. By the way, Cebu, the whole part of Cebu has already been declared heritage district. So in line with this, we're doing a heritage walk. This is an urban design exercise where you will be able to walk around. This is an example of what we have in this part of Street, where traffic is, where passenger is. We're going to do some traffic counting. That's there so that there will be less cars and more people walking. What's most important here again is that we're doing again the local resort planning for the 7 communities around it. And everybody will participate in making all of these wayfinding, benches, the paints on the streets, everything. You know? So we're at the moment still doing that. Although the design has been done. So we have a major contractor, but the major contractor is ready to work with the community, with us as part of it. So we'll end this by saying we're all wanting to build sustainable places, and always remember that beyond all our efforts, our goals are better realized when we prioritize building sustainable lives for fellow men. So it's not about just creating jobs, it's how. It's not just about building sustainable buildings, it's always better to build sustainable lives. Thank you.
They're called the largest building construction company in the nation, the largest private airport operator in the nation. And we're really pleased to have Mandaue, the Executive Director of the Infrastructure Development section of Megawide. So this is a big group, and we're really pleased to have him because he's doing so much across the nation. So really, really good to have him. Seems like a heck of a nice guy. So please welcome Louis Farrar.
Thank you, Lord. This is working because I had singing last night, and we have singing also tonight. So, good afternoon, everyone. I see some familiar faces. Mayang hapon sa inyo tanan, to our organizers, Richard and Rebecca. Thank you for having us. I'd like to start by asking you all, have you heard the phrase soul of the city? It's used to describe public spaces and sometimes even public markets. When I visit the place for the first time, I always want to see its soul, to know its real identity. Though you get a glimpse from different kinds of advertising materials, it's when you experience the place for yourself that you truly understand its culture and the people. Soul of the city refers to something that makes a place so essential, so ingrained in daily life, that the city is defined by it. For me, there are three qualities that makes any place a city soul. One is history, two, the people, and three, economy. This is my topic for today. I will be talking about our carbon market and why these three things make it the soul of Cebu City. Let me ask another question. Do you know which public market is the oldest in the Philippines? If you Google, it says Divisoria and Quinta markets in Manila, which started around the 1850s. In Cebu, there is actually evidence of trade in the carbon area as early as the late 1800s. And that's according to CHAC's Red Joy. There are different accounts on how carbon got its name. The most popular theory is that the word carbon is derived from the Spanish word for coal. This was because the old railroad started operations in 1907. With coal mines in northern and southern Cebu, there may have been a stop or a depot where carbon market is now today. During the American occupation, a military barrack was installed named after Major Oliver Warwick, what became known as Warwick Barracks. Post-World War II, the adjacent area became a venue for campaign rallies, debates, and public gatherings. That's how it got the name Freedom Park. The district is near Fort San Pedro and the Basilica, and also has the Compañía Maritima ruins. This actually checks our criteria one for carbon, history. However, as the market grew, so did its problems. This was carbon 2 to 3 years ago. It looks similar to other public markets in the Philippines, with issues on sanitation, security, and other facilities. Imagine, this is Cebu City's main source of fresh, affordable food and other essential goods. Why do Philippine markets look like this? Why did we allow carbon to become this way? Is this the representation we want for Cebu? Early in 2019, we started discussions with Cebu to modernize carbon. It took close to 2 years because City Hall ensured due diligence and the protection of vendors, caromaderos, cargadores, drivers, barangay residents, and many others. This checks our criteria number 2, people, whose needs and aspirations are fulfilled by carbon. Through consultations, we improved the terms of the project according to what was important to the community. In January 2021, we signed the joint venture contract with Cebu City and the late Mayor Edgar Labelle. The project has a public-private partnership framework with the following features. 1, Cebu City continues to own the land to be modernized through the joint venture. 2, Megawide is investing 8 billion pesos to develop the project and a 50 million peso annual guaranteed payment plus taxes on the minimum. 3, protect all registered vendors and ensure there is no displacement. And 4, keep carbon affordable as a market for the people with rates following the city's market code. This checks the third criteria for carbon: economy. It contributes to Cebu City's bottom line, gives livelihood to thousands of people, and has the potential to do more. Let me now show you the project master plan covering 7 hectares, created with the goal to transform Carbon District into a business and tourism powerhouse that showcases Cebu to the world. The public market will be the main driver of the development, supported by strong tourism infrastructure. We conceptualized the Puso Village to house the best Cebuano products and talent, and an integrated transport terminal that connects Carbon to neighboring islands in the Visayas. What we've done so far is thanks to the partnership of the city led by Mayor Mike Rama. We opened Bagsakan and the interim building, which is a temporary location for vendors when we construct the main public market. We built the Santo Niño Chapel and Park, which won the Best Decorative Concrete in the Philippine Excellence for Concrete Construction Awards. We restored the Freedom Park. We inaugurated this on October 28, 2022. We launched Cebu's first hawker center, which we call the Barracks, and made major improvements to the infrastructure, such as roads, drainage, and sidewalks. In the pipeline is the construction of the main public market, which will start in Q3 2023. The construction will start in 2023. The lower and upper ground floors area are for the public market vendors, while the higher floors are for commercial. We've also included decent sleeping and shower facilities for people working in the market. With these improvements, we see Carbon as a tourism powerhouse, the same way that other famous markets are must-see destinations. They represent the best of food, culture, and people in any place. That's why our master plan prioritizes walkable, safe, and easy to navigate streets, preserved historical locations, and a clean, efficient, affordable public market. We are also investing in the people of Carbon. Through Cebu Chamber and President Kenneth Ko, our co-speaker, we gave training in food handling, basic bookkeeping, and fiscal management. With the University of San Jose Recoletos, the PNP, different barangays, we have paglaong sa mga bata sa Carbon, providing skills training and values formation for children and street dwellers. The Carbon Children's Choir gives voice and movement lessons to help keep children off the streets and in safe environments for development. Lastly, we also offer education and employment opportunities for exceptional community members. We have Mark Arminion, our site engineer, who used to work as a cargador in Warwick Barracks. Mark placed number 2 in the mechanical engineering boards this year. 2 other engineers on the team are also sons of vendors, and more than 30 outsourced personnel are from Barangay Ermida, some of which are residents of CTO Carbon in the Carbon District. Infrastructure should be a means to support the growth of Carbon and of Cebu and the entire Philippines. It should be a symbol of our aspirations and our best selves. Making meaningful infrastructure is what our company, Megawide, is all about. Our projects enable us to deliver on our vision of a first world Philippines. Carbon, with its history, people, and economic contribution, is the soul of Cebu. We must take care of it so it can become the economic and tourism powerhouse that it should be. Thank you, and maayong hapon.
Very, very impressive work you guys are doing. That is transformational.
All right, winning employee experience. And I love the topic this afternoon or today because it's about highlighting leadership excellence, right? All of us in this room are leaders. right? And I'm sure that what I'm going to talk about this afternoon may not be new to you. Some of you may be practicing it, but it's really just a sharing of what we have gone through in the last or in the recent years. And so I hope that it will resonate with you, and maybe later we can talk and exchange stories more. All right. So employee experience. We all know in leadership, if it can't be measured, then it's useless, right? Right? We have to be able to do that. And one of the ways, key ways that we measure our employee experience is through our engagement survey, which is annual. Right? But we use the ENPS. We're all familiar with NPS, right? Net Promoter Score. Who among you use Net Promoter Score? Maybe not for all, but for some of your customers. Okay, Globe. So the others have other metrics. Okay. So Net Promoter Score, as you can see there, it's a scale of 1 to 10, and 9 to 10 is where you want your customers to rate you at, right? Those are your promoters. They will vouch for you, promote you, refer you, etc. to their friends and others in the industry. Your detractors are 0 to 6. You don't want to be there, right? And of course, your passives is your potential. The people that you would like to bring to your promoters, right? But they can also easily slide into your detractors. So promoters minus detractors, that's your NPS, right? So it's kind of steep, right? It's difficult. Now, we apply this to the employees, right? And that's why we have ENPS, or Employee Net Promoter Score. So it's not just about getting to a level, but it's really getting more promoters so that your ENPS will be bigger. And later, if anyone's interested, I can share some data on how are you labeled? Is your ENPS good, okay, or excellent? All right. So this is one of our key metrics for our employee experience. Now, 2021 was a year of transition. Transition for me personally, since I joined Cytel in 2021, January 2021. And it was also with a mandate to prepare the organization for possible acquisition or merger, and to prepare the organization to be ready, right? Because we all know who among you have gone through M&As and integration. Really? Nada? Alright, but I'll tell you, and you can tell us, the leadership team, that integration is really tough. You have to do a lot of change management, and that's what we did. Preparing the organization so that you have less change management, harmonization of policies and programs, and just going into the details and everything. But that was my mandate, to prepare Cytel organization. And at that time, our ENPS in the last 5 years was not very good, but 2021 it went up to 20.5, which was the first that we reached 20. So we were like, oh, finally, we're at 20. But then the goal in 2022 was to be at 30. It's so incremental, right? From 19.7 to 20.5. But the amount of work that everybody did, not just the leaders, but everybody, all the associates, was tremendous. Because it meant, for us in HR, we made it one HR to truly be cohesive. Because we were scattered across the Philippines. We have about 16 sites, with about 9, those are into 9 clusters. And we had to be one HR, but we had to transform HR to be better equipped and prepared for what's ahead. And then we had to prepare the whole organization. There's DEI in the global space, but it wasn't really present in the Philippines. So we established our DEI program. We inserted equity there because it used to be just D&I. And then, so we also formalized our sustainability program to make sure that our approach and and our path is really spot on. And so we, before Global had our ESG formalized, we were able to formalize it in the Philippines. But that's not just because of HR, but because of all the leaders, especially our COO, Ravi and Todd. So lots of work and on the people programs, but of course we also had to work on the continuous improvement, and all of that had one purpose: to really make us a great CX company or customer experience company. And our path to a great CX is a great EX. And that's why employee experience is customer experience. And I'm sure that resonates with all of you who are in the customer service field. Because our employees, if they're happy, they would be able to churn out a good customer service. That's why that we believe that employee experience is customer experience. EX is CX. So 2022, last year, was a breakthrough year. Our ENPS jumped to 58.1. So way beyond our target. And I'm not happy because that meant that we have to do lots more. So, and this is my HR team. We have Chris Villaba, May, Kevin, and Henry, of course. They have to work hard in Cebu because Cebu is far from Manila, and it's a special group, and you will see later on why. And they have stayed vibrant as a group. But 58.1, and then HR used to be, and then suddenly we became 60.7 as a group. So good numbers, because since we are one of the biggest delivery centers of found ever, obviously with 41 plus people, over 33,000 of that are agents. When we say, when we have participation, big participation in the program, that means a lot for the global. So, yes, we carried the global score. And again, that's kudos to the whole leadership. And I guess that's one of the messages for this afternoon. Highlighting leadership excellence. Well, I think that really the leadership has to be one. There is no operations. I know you're from the BPO also. There's no big operations and support. It's all together as a team. And collaboration is key. And I'd like to think that in Found Ever, we are big on collaboration. Small tents. Any problem, small tents immediately. Small tents so that it's easy. You're not slowed down by big groups, problem solving, etc. Let me show you a video of one of the programs that we did this year that really showed, how far our team members have gone in terms of engagement. together on March 1. That was one of the things that we wanted to do was, of course, as a OD intervention, was to make sure that our employees, our associates, are able to really internalize the new name and what it stands for. And so we posed a challenge to our associates. Each cluster come up with a program that will showcase the oneness. And I think that's one of the key things that we are always doing. And it emphasizes, illustrates the employee experience. They came up with that with very little guidance. And of course, out of the 9 clusters that submitted video, Cebu won the contest. The Cebu team is really very innovative and creative. It must be in the air. So, I said earlier, EX is CX, and we are a CX company, and we have evolved. Plus 40 years when our founders, founded Cytel, and it really had just one purpose or idea, and that was to be a great CX company. It was founded in 1994. Through the 40 years that we've been together, we have gone through so many changes. If you are that age, you would remember it used to be Client Logic bought Cytel. Actually, before that, there were several acquisitions, but it has really gone through so many changes. Okay, but through all of that, one thing that has remained true is our passion for our people. So in 2023, we all know how the market is right now. It's so competitive, right? So competitive, it's so hard, and you're not even just competing in the Philippines. We're actually competing across the region, right? Our competitors are not those in the Philippines. Our competitors are regions, right? From near shore, onshore, you have to beat those, and that's the concern. So we have over 9 million conversations, customer conversations. And I will not bore you and go through all these things, but it's just to emphasize that to be a great CX company, with excellent service, we have to go back to the basics, but at the same time, making sure that we are able to build trust to the data, because data is key. Data privacy is important. Okay. In fact, I'm also managing China, and I'll tell you the data privacy laws in China, for those operating in China, it's terrible, right? But it's so hard to move. But you have to go through. And I'm so glad that all the programs that we have, the people programs that we have in the Philippines and in global, are also done in China in a different way. But still, the employees get that same experience. The technology, everything have to be, given attention to, because definitely our clients are very demanding now, right? They don't just want discounts. They also want great service. They also want innovations. What can you give me in terms of process improvements? So our continuous improvement team are always working with our customers. It is a very competitive world. It's a changing customer landscape, but as our customers change, we also have to make sure that our employees build skills that will help the organization for the future. And in that simple video, what we did is really just to improve our employees' storytelling skills, which is one of the important skills of the future. So our promise for our clients, associates, and the community that we are in is definitely create connections, value conversations. Always establish conversations. It's not a relation. It should be a very tight and cohesive relationships with our customers, knowing where they are and understanding the industries that they're in. And of course, making sure that our employees understand what they are supposed to do, because it is their customers also, right? And so our EVP, we launched this again in March, is to create your best moments. All of our programs, especially the people programs, is about creating your best moments. From a candidate to an employee, the transition has to be seamless, but everybody has to have that best moment. You define it. It's all about empowering the employees and the associates to create their best moment. I, as HR, will not dictate what their best moment is. And that's why most of our programs are really just up to the employees, how they want to do it. Design thinking is big. We always do it so that we get it really from them because they are the ones in the trenches. So everything that we do in HR is about creating best moments for everyone. These are some of the programs, global, and so that's why I featured it, but there's a lot of things that we do. I mentioned earlier, ENPS is a key measurement, right? But there's another measurement that we use because ENPS, it's only once a year, right? But how do you make sure, and in a way it's a lagging number, right? Because it's there. But what do you do at the rest of the year? So another measurement that we really, that's important to us in HR would be UPR, or Unique Participation Rate. We have a lot of programs. One of our ROIs would be to ensure that people participate, but we don't want the same people. I mean, you can attend all of the programs, but our unique participation rate is really looking at what's the percentage of our associates who attend at least one of the corporate programs. Corporate, because they all attend the local programs, right? But the corporate programs. So our UPR, we got it in May. So are we resting? No, because we still have to go and make sure that our people are there. Max is my associate experience. That's why design thinking is big. Ever Better, we have an app where people can, look at their wellness overall, from yoga to hard cardio to nutrition, everything on wellness. And then C-Expert and Talent Plus, which are all development programs. All right, so key takeaways from 2022, and I hope this resonates with you. Harness the power of the collective, and that's why I mentioned design thinking, crowdsourcing. Okay, we also have missions. We throw mission to our team members, and their participation is one of the things that we do. So I guess what we're saying is that engage, engage, engage. And then data and storytelling. So the data should not just be for itself. You have to weave it into a story. And then compelling vision. Everybody mentioned purpose. All of that is about that. Purpose and vision. Maayong hapon sa inyong tanan. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Pam. Always an inspiration. And how is it possible to move a net promoter score from 20 to 60 in 1 year? I don't know how to do that. But there's very few countries in the world, by the way, you could do that. The Philippines is one of very few. Great HR work. And we'll move now. I'll just mention on the program we had a nice fellow named Jonathan de Luzuriaga, the president of the Philippine Software Industry Association. He was booked to come. His flight he was all excited when he heard about the event. He said, Richard, I have to speak. There's so much going on within the software industry. It's the future of the country. All that. He was going to tell us all about it, but his flight got delayed, so he's not able to be here. So we'll get him again next time. And our next speaker maybe can talk a little bit about flights and airports, because he runs now, been here 4 months, so he's new to Philippines. So please a welcome to Thanos. Really lovely to have him here. I guess there are friends from your sponsor here. You're sure Megawide brought him here, so they're really, this is an expensive fellow, a good guy, so they're really committed to the country. They want to have world class, and they're getting world class talent. And this is so Thanos is, sorry, a bit of a long introduction here, but Thanos to Thanos, his name sounds like a Greek philosopher or a ship owner or something like this. He spent a lot of time in Germany, ended up running the Cologne Airport, which is one of the major cities of Germany, onto the UAE, where he ran an airport there, and then Saudi Arabia, and then here in Cebu, Philippines. So really, really a good story. And he was talking all about his excitement and how nice it is to be here and all that. So with an interesting story from a real outgoing fellow, please welcome Thanos Titanos, yes. So his formal title is CEO of the Mactan Cebu International Airport. Really glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me here and my shareholder, Megawide. Yeah, thank you for the invitation. So yeah, my name is Athanasios Titonis, and you're here with us, spell it Greek, right? But I grew up in Germany and I worked in German airports, and now I'm here. And I want to give you just an overview today about our business. Yeah? The good thing is, in our business, everyone understands our business. So it's airport aviation, everyone is flying, and you can give me some insights, by the way. Later on, we are creating a users committee at the airport. I think this is something very worthwhile for us, to have people like you to give us ideas which we could develop better in the future. So today I want to give you an overview about some trends in our business and the impact or the challenge, how we are going to to manage this challenge in Cebu Airport. So those things is well known. The mega cities, what I mean with mega cities are more than 10 million, and just to understand that, more than 95% of the long-haul flights are between those mega cities. So just, here's the business. So it's moving to Southeast Asia. This is one of the trends in the last 20, 30 years. The other trend, which is very painful for us, for all of us, it's our recovery process. I want to give you some insights here. So you see here, we are going to recover. I know that doesn't work the pointer, right? Okay, but I'll show you that here. So you see, we are going to recover really in Asia Pacific 24. Recover means level 19. If you go to the old path, which is that what we usually are saying after a crisis, going back to old path, it means we are going to recover 2030 and to go back to the old path. However, Asia Pacific 24, 100% 2019 project. Something which is quite interesting for us, and I come to that later on, we are comparing us with Clark and Manila, right? This is something I will explain to that later on to you. So you see we are recovering, all of us. Clark is doing much better in the next months. Just to give you an insight, Clark is doing great in the summer season. Yeah? And I have full respect for my colleagues there. The other thing which is quite interesting for us as a trend is tourism in Philippines for an airport operator. So we are destination airport, which means tourism is, let me say, 80 to 85% of our business, international incoming tourism. So you see here the share, and you see tourism is 22% of the GDP of Philippines. So which means, and as I see, and I have seen until now, it will grow in the future, or that's the plans at least. And we will participate there, but still Manila has 61%, or maybe more than 60% of the tourism incoming in Philippines. Which is quite interesting, because as I heard from my friends, the people doesn't like to stay in Manila. They are going to Manila, they are traveling around Philippines. So that's a challenge and a trend for us as an airport operators. So here is the other trend. Airports are privatizing. It's not only in Philippines, it's a world trend all over the world. The reasons are pretty obvious. One is for sure the investment, which private companies could do maybe better than governments. The second reason is for sure governments are moving to the regulator, the authority. They're controlling what the private operators are doing. This is a trend worldwide, and that happens in Philippines. First airport was Cebu, and you see, meanwhile we are talking about much more, 24 airports in Philippines, which is some of them we are trying to get as well in this in the future. That's the trends. What we are doing now to manage these trends, how can we win this market? And when I came, before I came, and when I received the first call about Cebu, I was like, what is that? I want to see that. And I saw it's in the middle of Philippines. And this is a strategical, very good competitive advantage. Why? Because in Philippines, you fly out of Cebu everywhere in Philippines within maybe 1.5 hours, okay, except there. You need more than 2 hours, but within 1.5 hours you can reach out every place in Philippines. And this is the classical competitive advantage for hub airports. Yeah? So why is that for us interesting? You saw the numbers before, 60% international in other tourism, only 20% is our share. Here is the challenge, here's the potential for us. But we are not talking about domestic, we're talking international. Coming from, I don't know, Taiwan, Narita, via Cebu to go to Puerto Princesa. Yeah? So that's the potential of the airport, which we are seeing to catch up this market. But to achieve that, we need to do much more. First is the infrastructure. We're talking about infrastructure. Infrastructure means build up the condition or the foundation to manage this business. And for that, great again, between the two, you know our airports better than us, right? So between the two airports and terminals, we have the connectivity here, which we have two terminals connected, which is a competitive advantage as well. So we just need to do a connectivity, and you can fly, you know that if you're flying via Doha, via Singapore, whatever, you're coming international, domestic, or you're flying international to international, we can do that everything here in the future. So for that, we need to build it up. The second challenge for us, or maybe I go to that, how airports are doing business. We are not making money with the flights anymore, right? We are more with a runway. This is the definition meanwhile. So we are making money with one pillar is the fees for landing, starting, and parking the aircraft. One is the retail, when you're buying things. The third pillar in the future, that's why, it's the real estate business. This is nothing which will come exactly like that. I'm giving you some ideas. That's why I asked the team to put that at the end, right? Because this is just an illustration. So we are going to plan things here. There's a potential for hotels, malls, parking. Airport operators making money with parking. This is the main business normally, right? There's another potential. So this is how we are going to win the market. The other thing, I like this slide a lot. Why? Because this is the level of service which we need to deliver to the passenger. What means that? So you see one is the process, the waiting time, and the second one is the space which you need to deliver as an airport operator to have a level of service which is the optimum, we name it optimum. This is one thing. I will not go to the details here. So I think you see that, you know that next time, take a photo, wherever you're flying, you can say, okay, 5 minutes you're too late here. You have the level of service and you can become an expert. But this is something which the passenger expects and requires. This is not a thing if you're flying somewhere. So how we can win the market to become better than the other ones is the value topics. You know the butterfly terminal in Singapore or other terminals, this is, we call it the wow effect. So this whole competition between the airports by privatizing brings up that we need to compete, one, with a new business model, second, with a passenger experience, and within the passenger experience includes, that's not really new. I worked for a tour operator 30 years ago, and we had already hotel check-in at that time, right? Manually, from the end to the end of the passengers. Meanwhile, you can do that with the technologies, and I'm happy that we already discussed with our host here that we can have here a pilot. From the Sheraton, you do the check-in here, you go directly to your airport, our airport, and you fly. So without to go again to the check-in. Technology-wise, it's pretty easy. The only problem is the regulator, which we are talking with the authorities. But this end-to-end process, should see that here. But more interesting, and I compare that always with the automotive industry, is look how many stakeholders are involved in our production. If you want to fly, there are sometimes at the aircraft 6 different companies working on the same product to bring you safe and on time on your destination. So for that, to manage that properly, We have the great chance now with technology. Technology is the key of the success, to have all the stakeholders working on one product with a fully integrated system to manage it. So what means that? Airports, look, this is landing strips. I think that's not relevant for us. This is a normal airport, basic operation. We know the on-block time, we know when the passenger cross the gate, all those things. But the next level, which we are moving right now, it's the agile airport, which means all the stakeholders and the product are working together. You might have seen the kind of airport operation control center. You have this data in front of you, you're seeing everything transparent. But the real next level is the called smart airport. I know everyone has that word. What means a smart? There are different definitions. For us, it's very simple. Smart airport means fully transparency, operational and commercial business. Yeah? So we would like to know where you as passenger, how you're spending your money, and we want you to be very happy. Maybe you have that recognized in Terminal 1. Meanwhile, domestic, there are no gate announcements. Right? So you will fly, and we want you to go to the shops to spend money, right? So that's why we are doing that. And then, if we have live data, which passenger is spending what, not the name, we don't care. We care about where you're flying, and we care about what are you buying. This is the next level. And the benchmark in our industry is the New Beijing Airport. That's the benchmark. They're doing that great. I've met some providers here. I'm trying to get an appointment to meet them. Until now, not really successful, but I want to meet them to understand what they are doing. So, coming to the end, this is some systems. I think it's interesting. It's done by CETA, I think, right? Yeah. CETA. Which programs we have 225 our industry, which we are spending money for sure. Research. It's business intelligence. This is the interesting thing. No, the Googles of the world. This is what we want to do. It's very simple. And for sure, data exchange technology. I used always to say the airlines, and we imagine we are not exchanging data for the passenger about the passenger. Not at all. We are keeping our data. This is ours. Exchanging the data. That's the key of success. So the next one is the artificial intelligence. The other things is standard. So just to have an overview, the key of that success to win the market, and that's not rocket science, everyone is doing that, it's technology. I think that's it. Thank you very much. Happy to answer questions. Normally I have thousands of questions, maybe we can do that later on in the network. Thank you.
Yeah, please approach these people. I mean, lovely people we have here, and they'll be glad to answer questions. There's a lot more that he could talk about. And coming in is Congresswoman Cynthia Chan with us today. So she's going to sit right here with our friend and next speaker, June Palafox. And yeah, so please, and maybe if we can just try to exchange as many cards. If after this event you didn't meet the person you want, please send me a message, and I'll be pleased to do an invitation for you, okay? Because it's a really good opportunity to have such diversity of leaders here. So, okay, and a good example is our next speaker, looking very colorful, June Palafox. In the architecture, urban planning world, this is the highest profile fellow. Here's a newspaper. Palafox marks 34 years of architecture planning and design in 40 countries. So this is, again, he has worked across the Asia and the world, all of that, looking very colorful today. And also known, Forbes Asia labeled him as one of 48 heroes of philanthropy, known as Mr. Master Plan, because so many master plans across this country and others he has done, and always a heck of a good speaker. I know we've had him speak in Clark and Devout, and so many people follow him just to see June. So, with interesting and always exciting presentation, please welcome June Palafox, our good friend.
Thank you for that. Yeah. it's good to follow the previous speakers like that. Maybe I'll start with my team prepared 45-minute presentation. So I'll do away with the PowerPoint. I just speak as the recent projects we've done in the Philippines. After we've done more than 40 countries. And just go on with it while I speak because we are advocating now for promoting our country. First world economy by 2050, first world country by 2040. Before 2028, it will be our million income country. And I'm so fortunate because Asian Development Bank hired me to help in the preparation of the 2023-2028 Philippine Development Plan. And during the pandemic, I got COVID 3 times. So I got grounded here. I used to travel abroad 32 times a year. And more than 1,800 projects in 40 countries. And 193 of them is Cebu and Visayas. My first project in Cebu is the Cebu Business Park, the health center. Currently, we have several projects right now, like Land Bank, UP Cebu, also Justice in Cebu. What else? Divine Mercy, Shrine, Consolacion, with the Archdiocese of Cebu. So this is Clark. Clark is already the master plan and also the Aerotropolis. Aerotropolis are airport-leaded cities and 4,000 hectares and divided into 7 districts. We just completed the detailed land use around it. And Clark the target is 80 million arrivals a year. And we're currently working also on the largest airport being built now by San Miguel Corporation. It will have 4 runways. Target arrivals is about 120 million. I did a lot of work in Dubai. I was invited by the rulers of Dubai in 1977. And it's good because ADB hired me. I was able to share with the Philippine Development Planning how the rulers of Dubai would challenge us architects, planners, engineers. Look at the best in the world and how many years Dubai will surpass it. Then our Philippine Development Planning, better than last year, better than previous administration. So it's like baby steps. So I told them like there are more than 30 modes of transportation, and I think we're only talking about 10. There are 20 kinds of infrastructure. I think we're talking about less than 10. And my assignment from ADB is seamless connectivity. Transportation, infrastructure, including physical and digital. So Stadtselberg was the original name of Clark. So 7 districts, it's 5-minute neighborhoods, 10-minute districts, communities, and 15-minute city. Walking, biking, public transit within 15 minutes. And Clark will be connected to railways, bus dedicated dense highways, to Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon. Lifestyle district, industrial district, airport-leaded districts, and so on. This is 4,000 hectares. We need at least 100 new cities by 2050. 2050 will be 150 million population. If you don't break those 100 new cities, existing cities now will be as bad, if not worse, than Metro Manila today. So we're advocating all of this, Leisure District and so on. And our cities, Metro Manila, they're even selling open spaces. Open spaces and parks are belongs to the city. So that's Clark, Aerotropolis, Smart City, Airport-leaded city. And fortunately, we got to plan also Pampanga. Pampanga, I call the plan Megalopolis. And Megalopolis several metropolitan areas, metropolis several cities. So Pampanga is 3 times the size of Singapore, twice Hong Kong, 70 kilometers in Metro Manila. And Agropolis, agro, the farm and the city. Ecopolis, ecology in the city. Aquapolis, and Davos Mars, the water in the city. Aerotropolis, the airport in the city, Clark and surroundings. All of this will be mixed-use development, but theme like more agriculture theme, environment, airports, aquapolis. The evolution of cities, we were ahead, like Cebu, port-driven cities, then railway-driven, then highway-driven. This century, our professor at Harvard used to tell us airport-driven city. This century, and airports are the business cards of the city of a country. How can you entice investors when they are not satisfied to this. Lost baggage, something happened with luggage, no seamless connectivity. So that's Pampanga, and a lot of investors going. We try to also influence road transport corridors. Ideally, road transport corridors is 1/3 for trees and landscape. It takes about 10 trees to recover oxygen of the carbon monoxide per car, and 1/3 for people, pedestrians and bicycles, and 1/3 for moving traffic lane. We hope we'll be able also to influence the architectural typology in Pampanga. Like this is the intermodal transit terminal with rainwater harvesting, solar roof. Also the buses, articulated buses. So look at 2050, I think we'll be able to do it. I think we've been there before. We were number 2 in Asia after Japan from the 1930s to the 1970s. That's why Asian Development Bank located in Metro Manila. All Asian countries thought Metro Manila would be the financial center of Asia, not Tokyo, not Hong Kong, Singapore. So that's Pampanga. We're more focused in helping our country after helping 40 countries. And helping our country is the most challenging. We're number 1 in the world in marine biodiversity. Number 1. We're number 1 in sailors. We're number 1 in call centers. I like to believe we're number 1 in nurses. We're number 2 in geothermal energy. Number 2 in BPOs. I think the 3rd or the 5th longest coastline in the world. Some countries, they go to war, they want more waterfront, like Russia invading Ukraine, Iraq invading Kuwait, because Kuwait is blocking the waterfront of Iraq. In Dubai, we replied Dubai only had 70 kilometers of waterfront. So Sheikh Mohammed decided to do the Palm Islands. His father excavated the desert to have the largest man-made harbor in the world. Airports, where are we now? I think we're now in Davao, urban master plan for Davao. Davao metropolis is 10 times Metro Manila, 9 times Singapore, 6 times Hong Kong. And take advantage of the Amenable Valley waterfront, Davao Gulf. And we changed the paradigm of Mindanao as back door to the Philippines to front door to the Philippines. And progressive infrastructure are airports, seaports, international airports, seaports, hotels, international schools, hotel, progressive infrastructure. Hopefully, cross-region will back. Then we know about the categories of infrastructure. Second is hard infrastructure. We all know that roads and utilities. Third, very important, is soft infrastructure. Ease of doing business, no red tape, no corruption. Then, green infrastructure, I think you're going to talk about sustainability and green. Then, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, institutional infrastructure. You may have the best plans in the world, but if you don't have the institutions to implement them, that is not good. So the best practice in the world, like walkable, bikeable. This one mayor started at the time asked us to be inspired by the 11 tribes of Davao. Like the paving patterns are indigenous arts of Mindanao. The night market, we elevated it so they don't have to close the roads. And lots of trees. Urban renewal for the Chinatown of Davao. It's easy to work with Davao. Like, they have political will. Metro Manila, there are 17 political wills. 17 mayors. Even the intermodal transit terminal, we were asked to get inspired by the indigenous architecture of Mindanao. Buses, cars, and even the elevated skywalks can be very well landscaped. And activate the area so people will use it and very well landscaped skywalk. The bridge between Davao Mainland and Samal is an architecturally designed that we put forward and with viewing decks, bicycle highway, pedestrian highway. Hopefully there put a bus transit and car lanes, bus lane, truck lanes. And even the vertical clearance will accommodate the largest cruise ships that will fly the boat. Most of our bridges are not designed by architects and designers, they're designed by contractors. Bridges around the world, they're also landmarks and tourist destinations. So that's the wings of an eagle about to fly and indigenous arts of Davao and Mindanao. So that's the next one is our client. We want also a competition here. Leyte Ecological Industrial Zone. And part of our work now is not just architecture, engineering, physical planning. Our clients include government. They ask us to do the business plan and the marketing collateral. So I was asked to present this. I was speaker in the Dubai Expo March last year, and government requested me to promote government projects as well, not just our private sector projects. So the anchor locator will be the copper industry, the downward upward linkages. Part of our work was locational analysis. So people thought we would recommend Tacloban and Palawan. We recommended Isabel Leyte, which is the deepest harbor here, and close to a geothermal energy plant. So Leyte Ecological Industrial Zone, we hope it will be again advanced market for future industrial zones. Just like an industrial estate inside a forest, or a forest inside an industrial estate. Again, the best practices in the world. I work a lot of industrial parks in Dubai, business park and so on, part of my work before. As I got urban planning architecture. I have to talk fast because my team prepared a 45-minute presentation for a 15-minute allocation. So these are the different linkages to the rest of Leyte and the rest of the country. Gateway. When we design projects, we don't just talk about hectares. It's about people. How many jobs will be created? My cousin Joy in Sabo presented the people first planet Earth perspective profit. And what we do Palafox, we don't forget the cultural history, heritage, and interfaith spirituality. So this is the top view, walkable, bikeable, and there are more eyes in the public realm. It's better secure. Criminals are not scared of walls. They can draw a grenade, no witnesses, to put happen to Marami. So there are more eyes in the public realm, there's less criminality. So we want partners, and this is our project for foreign investment and environmental trade industry. Make it happen. I've spoken in 20 countries, rather 40 countries. Even in Russia, I spoke 4 times. I was supposed to speak only 3 times. The 4th time they asked me to talk only about the Philippines. This is the first PESA registered university campus, Batangas State University. Again, it was a design competition which we won. Knowledge, Innovation, Science, Technology Park. We did the master plan, architecture, and engineering interior. 6 buildings. And 2 weeks ago, we won the number 7 number 8 building for engineering and dormitory. The University of the Philippines projects, out of 12, we won 10 of them. One of them is Cebu Visayas. Batangas State University. Knowledge, Innovation, Science, and Culture. And Batangas State University was cited as the best engineering school in our country. Over to my alma maters, UP and UST. So again, part of our scope of work was the marketing collateral, make it marketable and marketable. And some of the projects we've done, it's value creation. Like Cebu Business Park, 1987, 400 pesos per square meter. After the plans came out, no permits yet, 14,000 per square meter. Rockwell Makati was 8,000 pesos per square meter. After the plans came out, 120,000 per square meter. San Vicente Palawan, 300 pesos per square meter. Tourism Master Plan. After the plans came out, it got cited in London, the Royal Town Planning Institute, as one of the top 8 best planned projects in the world. From 300 pesos, became 14,000 per square meter. The downside is that urban poor price out here. So science, knowledge, innovation, science, and growth park in Batangas, The water park is not just for landscape. It's also about rainwater harvesting, emergency in case of fire, and the fish pond. We gave architectural design, 3 alternative designs per building. And as much practicable, natural light and ventilation. We try to create a family of buildings, but at the same time, they're own. It's unique, memorable, and unified. So, within 15 minutes, Richard. Anyway, everything we do is, it took 3 universities and a seminary to educate me. Everything we do is pro deo, patria, et terra, for God, country, and planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, June. Yes, I've seen him go for 45 minutes and everyone's still just mesmerized and want more at the end. I don't know. And so, our next speaker, we're pleasure to have the Honorable Congresswoman Cynthia Chan with us. Her and her popular husband, the mayor, representing both today. So really glad to have it. And you see everything that's going on. Lapu-Lapu is a very good example. The place looks like a construction site because there's so much going on. So to give us an update and all of that, please welcome the Honorable Congresswoman Cynthia Chan to the stage.
Thank you, Richard. Good afternoon. Mayong hapon, atong tanan. Lapu-Lapu, if this is your first time, no? So this is a city that is a treasure for you to discover. A destination like no other. So these are the taglines which describes our city. As the representative of the Lone District of Lapu-Lapu, and also a vice chairman of the Committee on Tourism in the House of Representatives. I was also the former chairman of the Tourism, Cultural, and Historical Affairs Commission. I have nothing but great pride in everything our historic city has to offer. A rich history of culture, lush 5-star resorts, white sand beaches, abundant marine resources, exquisite dishes, food, and exceptionally warm and loving people. I think this describes also the rest of the Philippines. So, love the Philippines. Tourism is the lifeblood of our city. It is also a sector that is very dear to me. As I've said, as the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Tourism, I recognize the invaluable contribution of tourism in job creation, as well as the endless business opportunities that come with it. As you may already know, tourism creates jobs for a lot of people. Tourist destinations like our city need tour guides, drivers, chefs, translators, cleaners, and all the other stakeholders come with. The construction of hotels, restaurants, and other tourism-related establishments also require the employment of hundreds, if not thousands of workers. And the important industry creates linkages among various suppliers, from travel agencies to restaurants to hotels and other stakeholders. So the possibilities are simply limitless. And so are the potentials of our city. So in 1961, a brief history here, Lapu-Lapu City became a chartered city and a highly urbanized city in 2007. So in all those years, the former municipality of Upon has been rapidly transforming and developing into a city that we see today. We are home to the second busiest airport in the country, the acclaimed and world-renowned Mactan-Cebu International Airport, numerous world-class resorts dot our eastern coast in the barangays of Mactan, Maribago, Punta Engaño, and Marigondon, and several industrial zones and large industries have likewise called Lapu-Lapu City their home. So all this and more make our city a perfect tourist destination. And with our pool of educated, highly skilled and talented people, businesses here can surely operate with ease and run effortlessly. Yet these are not without hiccups. The COVID-19 pandemic for the past 2 years and the super typhoon Odette of 2021 certainly made a dent on the tourism industry, leaving many displaced, unemployed, or underemployed. We also have unfinished infrastructure projects. Next to us is our supposed to be the 7-star Emerald Hotel, no? That has caused inconvenience to our city. I have to say that overcoming these challenges and removing these obstacles require close coordination and strong partnership with the local government unit. Thankfully, I'm working with none other than my better half, Mayor Junard Ahong Chan, on this important endeavor. As the local chief executive, he has the power to initiate and maximize the generation of resources and revenues and apply some of these to the implementation and development plans, programs, and objectives. He is also tasked with efficient, effective, and relevant economical governance in promoting the welfare of our people. So as a matter of fact, the LGU, and in partnership with our Public Employment Service Office, headed by our head, Mr. Kim Francisco over there, TESDA and the private sector is conducting monthly job fairs to give more opportunities to job seekers. Our teamwork, with me working in the legislative branch and him in the executive, makes for a truly collaborative, productive, and complementary partnership. For instance, in identifying key infrastructure projects for the district, we brainstorm on which projects need to be prioritized. So that we identify those that are most needed by the community and those that will generate jobs for our constituents, the Opumanans, and what will also contribute most to the local economy. Partnership with the private sector, which I mean the business sector, is just as important as our partnership with the public. On this front, I am glad that my stint as the TCLEX Chairman 4 has given me the opportunity to get to know them well, learn and understand their concerns, work hand in hand in promoting our shared interests. Relatedly, the Lapu-Lapu City government is also at the forefront of making it easy for people to do business in our city. And we are also, we have a good track record of peace and order, because that is important also. Because we cannot lure business investors if our peace and order is and crime rate is high. In May 2023, our city government was recognized by the Anti-Red Tape Authority, or ARTA, one of the only 8 cities and the only one outside NCR, for streamlining our business permit applications and for setting up an electronic business one-stop shop, or eBOS. This initiative simply means that it is now easier to do business here in our island. And this recognition gives credence to our message that in the Chan administration, Lapu-Lapu City is a business-friendly city. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Asia CEO Events Chairman, Mr. Richard Mills, CEO Rebecca Bustamante, and all of you here for this opportunity to share with you our experiences and insights on how we help create jobs and business opportunities to our people. Thank you for also choosing our city with no less than the stunning Sheraton Hotel, Sheraton Mactan Cebu Resort as your backdrop and venue for this year's Asia's CEO Cebu. I am optimistic that during your stay here, you'll be able to see and experience for yourselves that Lapu-Lapu is indeed a treasure to discover, a destination like no other. Thank you very much. Mayang hapon natin kanan. And in closing, because I did not prepare any slides, I would like to humbly present our video. I know it is quite controversial now, but this
life to everyone by the skies and seas that are blue, the lush greens, the wind embracing you. Dive in the depths of blue waters, great wonders, beautiful creatures, white sand and pebbles you can walk through, breathtaking views surrounding you. A treasure for you to discover, a destination like no other. Keep going, Lapu-Lapu, a journey that's never ending. Keep going, ngayon ka mo. Let's all gather and explore the wonderful thing. Padayon lang sa paglakaw, padayon lang sa pagtuaw. Come over and see the great beauty of Lapu-Lapu City. Dayon sa Lapu-Lapu, sunset cruise awaits you on board. Words and music in accord. The tempting food you can't ignore. It's more than just a taste of these and more. Good people, locals in the island, the products made with heart and hands, welcoming and serving you the best, offering what you deserve, no less. A treasure for you to discover, a destination like no other. Keep going, Lapu-Lapu, a journey that's never ending. Keep going, ngayon ka mo. Let's all gather and explore the wonderful thing. Padayon lang sa paglakaw, padayon lang sa pagtuaw. Come over and see the great beauty of Lapu-Lapu City. Dayon sa Lapu-Lapu. It's a rich culture and history, great love, victory, and humanity. The birthmark of people's divine faith, inspiring values, ethics, and traits. Truly a nation, right to the world. The great stories for you to unfold. Make memories, have fun and be free. Lapu-Lapu City, the place to be. Lapu-Lapu, Lapu-Lapu,
As we reach the end of the Asia CEO Cebu Conference, I feel an overwhelming sense of pride and gratitude. This gathering has been a testament to the power of collaboration, the spirit of innovation, and unwavering dedication to excellence within each one of us. We truly make it happen. I want to express my profound appreciation to all the speakers and experts who graced us with their knowledge and insights. And my heartfelt thanks to our sponsors, partners, and organizers who worked tirelessly to make this event successful. Your unwavering support, dedication, and attention to detail ensure a seamless and enriching experience for all attendees. But this conference's true heart lies within each of you, the participants. Your presence, engagement, and willingness to learn and share made this gathering exceptional. The energy and passion that permeated every discussion, networking session, and interaction left an indelible mark. Local and international investors recognize Cebu's events logistics potential. Multinational corporations, e-commerce giants, and startups flock to Cebu, drawn by its strategic advantages, skilled workforce, and business-friendly environment. These investments boost Cebu's economic growth, creating employment opportunities and fueling prosperity. During the different sessions, we heard other narratives and learnings. I hope everyone has gained valuable insights and can use them to plan and strategize for their respective industries or fields. Thank you again for attending this conference. The ideas sparked here will continue to ignite new possibilities. All the connections formed here will flourish, and the knowledge gained here will catalyze your future endeavors. Thank you all for coming, and we wish everyone a safe trip home. Have a great day, and salamat.
Thanks, Lloyd. And Dan. Oh, airspeed. Thank you, Lloyd. What do we all think about, what do we think are some of the greatest strengths that the Cebu region has compared to other regions, let's say, of the country? Who'd like to, what's really unique here?
Yeah, I think there's more entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah, you know, when we design cities, even elsewhere in the world, I go to the cemetery. Like I said in the US, I was German city, Italian city, US city. In Cebu, there are more short family names in cemetery. So, Philippine Chinese are more business oriented. That's why. And they seem to have more better uncertainty, less certainty. And I believe that's the less corruption. One of our challenges, because I go for banking permits here. It's not as challenging as the other institutions. They have, I think, 193 charming islands. And they have universities, and also the Mahal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who else would like to, please?
Yeah, I could add also that in Cebu Island, no, including Mactan Island, you can do business and pleasure at the same time. I mean, it's like you can be at the beach in 30 minutes, and then like you can go to the Mactan Export Processing Zone and leave your family to enjoy the five-star resorts. You know, it's not, you cannot really find that in other cities. I mean, in Manila, it takes you how many hours to go to the beach, you know, and then even not just the beach, also the mountains. So the proximity of our business and pleasure, leisure sites are really an advantage. And then we also have the international airport that is very accessible to the international, the other countries, and that it, I would say, I don't know with the other, with the foreigners, I would prefer to have a direct Cebu flight than through Manila. I don't know if you agree.
Thank you. Yes, the scene talks big talk here about Cebu. What's the deal here?
So I'll give you a blend of being an expat and as local as it gets, 20 years in Cebu, having a family here. I think first is the people, right? So I feel Cebuano, and this is my learning over the last 12 years out here, because when I came to Philippines, it looked like Philippines was Manila and Manila was Philippines. And then you start your journey in Cebu. I realized there was a great element of pride, in the people out there, resilience and culture and warmth. I think it's true for all Filipinos, but I think there was something special about Cebu, core belief in value system, honesty, and this is, I'm not saying it's not there, but I think I sincerely thought people who were very, very genuine and honest. And like I said, I don't find the term out here, but I heard the first time the term Imperial Manila, and that was like challenging the NCR, and I think that requires a lot of strength and belief in your capability, and obviously, the civilization connect, the culture, the diversity that's there in the city and the province, and I often joke around with my peers in Manila, and I say, hey, what do you do on the weekend? So the typical response is that we go around the malls, we go around a few casinos, but I think if I just talk about something that we all nowadays talk about, work-life balance, I don't think when any of us get stuck in a traffic for 1.5 hours, so commuting is easier, you have choices to come like great beaches, people fly in from all over the world to get to Cebu. We just drive in on a Saturday morning to get to the beach, and you have the mountains. So I think that's something from the people side and culture side very different. On a more strategic part with our colleagues from the airlines industry and civil aviation, Mr. Nicholas, and we all spoke about, it's very strategically located. The point that was made about 1 hour difference anywhere you can go to in Philippines, it means a lot. To me it sometimes looks like it's the Doha and the Dubai of Philippines, right strategically located. All flights can possibly have a connecting flight going to West Coast, going from Cebu. I'm sure that kind of plan that you have for Clark and Cebu. So, and I spoke about it early in my presentation. Even 15 years back, if Emirates, Qatar, Singapore Airlines, and Cathay was flying to Cebu, it meant it had a strategic importance. Historically, it has been a big port. Now it has a great airport. So I think that makes a lot of difference in having the economic activity, getting the investors here. Most of my customers, they don't fly to Manila. They fly to Seoul, they fly to Singapore, Hong Kong, and they directly come. And that makes a big difference for an investor. Do I need to navigate through domestic airports? No offense to Manila Airport, but I think Cebu Airport is world class. Clark, I'm sure it's coming up very well. And I don't know, I just flew a month back. I think it's just catching up and there are great plans, but Cebu is right there. So I think strategically and people part, it makes a big difference to look at investors.
Yeah, if I may just add to that for the nations, I hope I pronounce it right. Thanos, okay. So, as it was already mentioned, location, but I think from an employer standpoint, I really value talents, the diversity of talents. They're not just all from Cebu, but you have a lot of talents coming from Danao and other nearby Visayas islands. It is very easy to bring them, relocate them to Cebu. And I think that the infrastructure comes to that, like housing is very important and reasonably affordable. Like my HR director, it was easy for me to persuade him to come to Cebu from Manila because relatively cheaper condominium rates, right? So housing is there even for the agents that you want to relocate. And then also it's a big city, but with a small, province feeling that people won't get lonely, right? If they're coming from Mindanao and all. It's not as daunting as going to Manila. So to me, talents, the diversity of talents is there. You have good universities. So if you want leadership talents, you can find them easily here. You don't have to relocate them from Manila. And we know that talents is very important. Our recruitment head for Cebu is here, and her task is hard enough, but at least in Cebu it's easy to find, not easy, but relatively easy to find talents, right? And I think that whole infrastructure, the academy, the universities, there are also small colleges that churn out good talents, as well as the infrastructure on the housing, all of that enable us employers to make Cebu a good destination. But of course, you also have to think about, and I'm glad that Cebu did something about the traffic, which was really bad some years ago, right? Which is difficult for clients when you're trying to shuttle them from one place to another, but that has immensely improved. So that's just my thought.
Yeah. Let me add a short point here. So I didn't say that during my presentation, but at the end, it's about people's business, right? Because this is in every company, in every industry. But at the airport, I would say a little more. So I'll give you an example. I said it, I think, before. So I worked in other airports as well, and imagine how difficult it was to bring, let me say, my German friends or my Saudi friends at the immigration to smile and to be nice to the people, right? That was really a lot of hard work to do that. Yeah? So, and here we have it. We have it. And I'm not talking about Philippines, I'm talking, even I'm the 4th month here, I see difference between people in Manila and here in Cebu. And this is what we have to capitalize more. And this is the add-on, because the airport, very simple, we are the last and the first impression. Leaving this destination, you know how it is. The last impression is that what you have in your mind. So I think it's about people. And I have to say that. So my team here. So I never faced a situation to say, I mean that we did the presentation yesterday night. Right? So they did it yesterday night. So which means there's the right skill, they're willing to do the change and still be nice, right? This is something which I really appreciate.
Okay, very good.
I think on my end, I'm born and raised Cebuano, but I was educated in Manila. I had my stint, 7 years in Manila, and then eventually I came back. So what I can see is that in Cebu, we are not the corporate type. Predominantly, the enterprise here is more on the SMEs. And they're very easy to talk to. Everybody seems to know everybody. We see a lot of people, the same people in the same events. And we talk about talents, and that's the beauty about being in Cebu. Fast, agile, dynamic, and I agree with the people here. Very friendly compared to Imperial. So.
Okay.
I'd just like to add very quickly, I was born in Mindanao, and most of my professional career years stayed in Manila for almost 20 years, and I have seen how very saturated the area is, and when there was an opportunity to be reassigned here in Cebu, I was the first one who volunteered. It's closer to home, and the work-life balance here is very, very good, and people can still go home at 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon, can spend time with their parents. This is where we can actually spend time with our loved ones, and we can still see rainforests everywhere, and 30 minutes to 40 minutes we can still see marine conservation, marine wonders everywhere. So this is a very good opportunity, very strategic, and very close to our respective homes, even if we are not originally from Cebu.
Very good. Okay. All right. Well, question over here. Please stand and state your name.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sheila from Land Asia Realty. My question is addressed to PLDT and Globe. Okay, since this year, Starlink has launched in the Philippines, right? So Cebu is known for very many provinces that are far-flung and cannot be reached with lines and any communication channels. What are the addresses that Globe and PLDT has done to help address these concerns for our Cebuano citizens, and not only for Cebu, but also for Mindanao and Luzon?
So first, we welcome the Starlink satellite because it complements where we are not present. Faster to deploy, But the satellite technology is really best where there is no fiber. Today, fiber is still the best technology that there is. And we in our group has been investing a lot in fiber, starting from the key cities all the way to first class, second class, third class municipalities. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, we're the leader in deploying fiber optics, 874,000 kilometers of fiber all the way across the country, but we're not there yet. So for the meantime, while there is no connectivity in rural areas, yes, any satellite technology would be welcome, but the best technology by far for us to be able to continue enjoy faster speeds, do work from home, at the resorts, do your leisure at the same time, watch Netflix, do TikTok and the like. Fiber will still be the best technology, and we're doing our fair share in deploying fiber optic year on year.
Thank you for that very beautiful question, Madam. Just as Kat mentioned earlier, we don't have any problems with starting coming in. In fact, we are very open to competition. And what we really want is that our fellow Filipinos will have connectivity or regardless where they are in the country. And so what we are doing right now, since we are not able to reach the far-flung areas in the country, we focus on areas where there are populous areas and there are a lot of, there's a need for customers to really connect. So we start from these key cities, as mentioned earlier, we implement 5G technologies and then expand from there. This has been also evident in our quest to improve our fiber connectivity, especially when we did the Philippine Domestic Submarine Cable Network in Punta Engano here, just early this year, Lapu-Lapu City, in partnership with Eastern Communications and InfiniBand. So every year we continuously build more sites, not just on our own, but also with our other partners, because we know that connectivity is really has become the lifeline and has become a basic necessity for every Filipino.
Okay, very good. Quick question here, please, James.
My name is Charlie from Chacon Engineering Construction. My question is to Asim Roy. AI, artificial intelligence, especially ChatGPT, what potential impacts on Philippine IT BPM, particularly call center employments for Cebu and all over the country? And how shall we prepare for it?
Thank you. I think it's the most relevant question that's going around. So I'll put it across in the sense that, and I relate to IBPAP's statement on AI, both for a reference point. See, AI has been there for long. It's not that, ChatGPT was launched somewhere in November and suddenly we are realizing that there's a threat or there's a challenge or there's an opportunity. I'll give you a classic example of something like London taxi drivers, right? So, if any one of you are familiar with, pre-Uber period, London taxi drivers were considered to be most knowledgeable. It was one of the most toughest schedule and assessment that one has to go through to become a taxi driver. So this is like 2012-13, where there was a buzz and they were opposing that, entry of Uber into the London market. But ultimately, Uber did happen in London. The point that we are going to draw out here, so if in say 2012 and 13 there were say 1,000 taxi drivers who were driving the London taxi, today you may be having 5,000 people who are also London taxi drivers and Uber drivers. There are more opportunities, there is more employment, there is no more job that it ultimately ended up creating. It gave more options for customers to look at how this AI changed the landscape. Customer had more choices. So I think it's too early to prejudge. Is this going to have an impact on the jobs? What we are also looking at is more adoption of technology in the workspace. if I just look at how the market is responding, there are different studies. Somebody said, about 30% of the jobs will be gone in the next 8 years because of advent of AI. But what people are not realizing that there is also a caveat to this, that if we continue to upskill, cross-skill our resources, the opportunity is huge. At this point in time, if you sit idle and say, hey, I've been taking calls in the way I done it in the past, which are simpler calls. Yes, those calls are going to get automated. If you're just calling up for a simple billing inquiry, the call is gone. If you're calling for a simple ticket inquiry or ticket booking, those calls will be gone. So I think the focus right now is how do we continue to upskill our resources, getting them into areas which require more of exception handling, which requires a judgment and analysis of any issue. Because AI, to some extent, will have a limitation in terms of making that judgment call. And I think more and more we have to move towards adoption of more complex skills that people can adapt. I'll give you again an example of something that you do in the content moderation space. The likes of Google's and Meta, they do employ a lot of AI. I think they have the best AI engines, the cognitive engines, ML engines to regulate traffic information on the net. But they still employ humans simply because they know the risk involved. They know there is a litigation risk, there is a legal risk on content being posted and AI kind of ignoring. So what is happening is possibly handling of issues by exception. So again, I'll say yes, there can be an impact, but it's too early to judge it. We are adapting, but there is nothing denying the fact that you need to upskill and cross-skill our resource pool. If we don't do that, then obviously we are sitting ducks. But I think we have seen massive movement from across. If I just talk about the Philippines, there's a realization across IB-TRAP, DICT, ICT Council that we need to continue to train and upskill our resources, and we should be there. So if you look at it, there has been no change in the forecast that we have in terms of our numbers. We are still holding on to those numbers. It's not happening right away. Yes, there will be a time zone, maybe 2 to 3 years from here, you'll start seeing some impact. But if by that time we have skilled up our resources, we have a better chance. And please also remember that when we skill up, the demand factor is still not going up. The volumes in the content is still going up. So there's a huge opportunity also that we can capture. No immediate risk that we see at this point in time, but you can't really ignore the advancement that's happening in the area. Thank you.
I know the question was posed to Asim, but I hope somebody can also join in, right? So I'll take a stab at your question. And as Asim said, AI has been there forever, right? But more and more we see that our lives, even our day-to-day, right? It's really a lot of technology. And would ChatGPT or AI, etc., would that impact us? Should we prepare for that? Actually, I think that if you're going to start now, it's kind of late, right? You have your Gen Z, and they are all about if you have children 25 and below, they're all about tech, right? Even our millennials, even I, who's a baby boomer, has to adjust, right? Because a lot of our lives are already on the tech. And then even our Parks BPO is on the VA, virtual assistants. That means that they provide services that are all about virtual, right? Biggest competitor of BPOs, right? But I think, how do we prepare as a country? I'd like to think of it as a country, not just as a BPO company or as found ever. We really need to prepare the Philippines for it. And it's one of the things that we are driving the InstitutCap. Because our neighbors in the region are already highly tech. And if you want that business or that kind of work to go here to the country, you have to prepare your talents. We are doing our part in cross-skilling, upskilling our associates. Because simple call, Asim is right. People don't, our businesses don't tap us anymore for just directory assistants. That's also passé already. I mean, people still do it, but not so much anymore, right? You always go for the higher the skills. Not because you can just have the machine, which is the AI, to give you information, simple information. But you go for the higher skill because, or work that require higher skills because that's where, one, the money is, right? That's the high value kind of work. And you want Filipinos to be able to avail of the high value work because it increases their skill. At the same time, you are able to pay them better because the business that you get are also more in terms of value. Construction, I'm sure you are more onto tech already, right? I mean, even you have to have smart buildings, and even in HR, we have to have smart HR. That's part of employee experience. If you have a former employee wanting to do a COE, he should not, or a certificate of employment, sorry for the jargon, but wanting a COE, they don't just, they will not wait to talk to a person. They will just want to pick up the phone and then give instructions or email or whatever in the site and get a COE. They don't need to talk to a person. So that's where your AI comes in for better employee experience, better former employee experience, better candidate experience with your company. So, and I think that there's really no way, there's no stopping it. You just have to accelerate, in fact, your adoption of technology, and you have to accelerate the learning. I believe that our educational system is not that ready, and that's why we are working hard in the BPO space. Part of our CSR, everything is to upskill the students so that even senior high graduates will be ready to take on simple tech work because it's lagging, right? Compared to, and I mentioned this before in my talk, you have a lot of competition on nearshore. Countries that are near US, countries that are near Europe. That's why Romania will never go away because they serve Europe. And Bulgaria will never go away even if those are our competitions, and their education is really there. And so I think that adoption of technology, there's no way that you can get away from it. You have to accelerate.
Okay, June, just actually, one more question. AI. Yeah, I spoke in the AI summit, sponsored by Avoid School, and this answer was put up. The two airport cities were doing. We gave it to AI. We removed the runways and airplanes landing vertical. And the airport city, we put there higher capacity vehicles. They removed the sidewalks and 5-story buses. So it should be a combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. Humans will be replaced by humans with AI. So combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. It's really good. Please.
Thank you, Richard. I'm Badi Biliasis. Maybe I'd like to divert away from AI, although I can talk much about it being from the industry, but my big boss, Asim, and of course, our Vice President from Congress has made a substantial discussion. Since we are in Mactan, I'd like to ask the CEO, the GM of Sheraton, how's the tourism market now? Do we have a turnaround, or are we getting good numbers now since the pandemic? Maybe Dottie and maybe Congresswoman Cindy Chan could add also, being from the island. Thank you.
Thank you, Buddy. I know about battery, no? Hold on. Anyway, okay, I actually thank you for also asking Congresswoman Cindy, because even if she hadn't spoken and talked this afternoon, I really would like to give tribute to Madam Cindy. Before she became a Congresswoman representing the Lone District, Lapu-Lapu City, she was heading the tourism, I would say, from the local government. And this was during the pandemic to the recovery. So whatever you see now in Lapu-Lapu City, it also, I would say, replicates really what's happening in Cebu, since we are very much a part of the Cebu province. And speaking of tourism, we can actually feel that since we opened in September 2022, to the present time, as we ended up the first half of 2023, there is a dramatic improvement when it comes to the arrivals, when it comes to the influx of foreign travelers. And of course, this is translated into the financial results and performance. And if I were to speak for our own property, I am proud to say that for the first half of the year, what we actually have achieved is more than what we have expected. And of course, this is a concerted effort, not just by our hotel, not just by our organization, but there's also so much of a support that we get from the local government when it comes to supporting us, especially during the pandemic and during the aftermath of the typhoon Odette, right? And but more than anything else, the influx, or I would say the increasing number of foreign travelers that we feel in our property. When we started in September, we actually had still about, you could say, maybe 70% local or domestic tourism, because we experienced a lot of the staycation until the end of the year. But beginning January up to the end of the first half of the year, I would say that the tide has actually switched. For our property alone, and perhaps Madam Cindy, and of course my colleague here from the airport, you could substantiate it with the arrival. I mean, that was actually shown. And the increasing number of traffic, airline, from different destinations. We basically are on about 65 to 70% foreign on our guests, and it is down 30% of domestic. And I don't think it's because that they don't want to come to the property, but I think it's also more that there really is a recovery. You can feel the recovery of the destination, Mactan as a tourist destination, and Cebu City as well as a commercial hub. You now have business people traveling, and that goes together. That's why we have now a segment called Leisure, which is business and leisure. So I hope, Buddy, I am able to kind of paint, how the landscape of our tourism has evolved since last year and the recovery. And I am sure that Congresswoman Cindy would have a lot to add to that. Based on the statistics that we also have gathered from the travel industry, airline industry. Thank you, Madam Cindy.
Yeah, I concur now with what Dr. said. I'm very pleased that travel, especially traffic in Mactan, Cebu International Airport, has resumed, and I am so relieved and happy that more flights, direct flights, international flights are opening up, and airlines. Well, we have a lot to improve on with our domestic airlines, firstly, because I experienced firsthand last week that I had a 6-hour delay in flight from Manila to Cebu. But that was, I hope, an isolated case from Philippine Airlines. Because I hear the other airlines, like Cebu Pacific and Air Asia are doing a nightmare. But I was kind of cocooned with Philippine Airlines until last week. So I really hope that they should improve on it. One of our the things that in Mactan, that airport, that we can say that our restrooms are at par with the international airports. That's very important, and that is what travelers are complaining about, that the airports in Manila are so old and not maintained very well. Also, when we had the pandemic, we opened up. We had a Balik Turismo in October of 2020. That was still pandemic. And it was due to have our resorts and small and medium SMEs maintain or stay afloat, just pay the overhead, so they were able to, we gathered them and asked them if they could lower their rates so that for the first time, the average Filipinos could afford our high-end resorts. So it was a win-win situation. A lot of locals came here and it kept us afloat. And right now, I know rates are back to normal. But at that window of time, it helped us to stay afloat.
Okay, some numbers, only just some numbers. Korea is not back totally. So Korea is developing right now. We are I think end of the year will be there regarding Korea. Japan, it's mostly Japan. We have unfortunately, a lot of Japanese people are flying to other destinations. The outgoing business, it's not to Philippines, it's now moving to other countries. So this is something which we have to work on that. But more interesting, which everyone is asking, what is with China, right? So China is 20% of our market as an airport operator. So, and yeah, it might come back. Let me put it like that. We will have the e-visa because the government, with your support, Congresswoman Cindy, they will have the e-visa in place. I got my last information in September. However, may I add my personal opinion here? I think we have to focus more on India. Let's be very clear here. Why? Because China is a huge market, but you never know how it is going to develop the next 2-3 years. So that's why we are focusing right now on India. India is a huge market. I know the Indian market due to my previous jobs, and this is a huge market which is not developed for us at Cebu. And we will go together with the authorities, and I would like to have a group with all of us together. What can we offer? Because at the end, let's be very clear here. Developing tourism means put money on the table. It's very simple. You go to the tour operators, you put money on the table, and this is how you're developing tourism. So, and we're thinking about a fund which we can develop all of us together to go there to convince the airlines and the tour operators to come to us. Yeah. So this is how it works.
That's a very good point. The Indian market is such a powerful one. I mean, you got to have our Indian friends helping us there. So please, another question here.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I am the Council of Parks BPO, one of our major sponsors. I have a general question for everyone because since the questions earlier were about IT and everything, so I'm pretty sure it's very much related to the economy. So just a general question that anyone can answer. How do you read the economy today? And considering that China and US is in a bit of recession, if we can use that word, and Europe too is in recession. So how do you view the economy locally? And do you think we have an advantage in terms of avoiding a future recession?
Who would like to? Panos?
So let me put it very from tourism side. I think the advantages here still tourism are coming in, right? Well, I saw the numbers. You saw the numbers 8 million 2019, and the approach is to increase it a lot, right? And you saw 20% of the GDP in Philippines is tourism. So just imagine how can we develop the tourism market, which will boost the other markets. Because based on my experience, business brings business. So developing the one business will develop all the other businesses. This is the one thing. The other thing which
I see, which we didn't talk here, is about logistics. It's about cargo. Yeah? There's a huge potential in the Philippines to develop cargo as a hub. As well, I'm sorry to say that again. Hub potential logistics is a potential here between China and the other markets. So we had meetings with logistics companies that they said to me, via you to Australia. I said, oh yeah, that's a good point, right? So we can develop. So how we can fight against potential recession, let me put it like that, developing our strong, let me say, competitive advantages which we have here. And we have it, right? So we have to develop that. That's how we see that cargo and passenger tourism is the future. Let me put it very simple, what I've seen here. Yeah.
I'm not an economist, okay? But I'll take a stand from, from what I see at least in the business. And I'm in HR, so I don't really face clients during pitches. But I think that what's important is to recession-proof your company, your business. And I go back to the basics. If you remember my slide earlier, we really need to go back to the basics and how you recession-proof your company, you future-proof your company. And that is, you go back, as you said, to your competitive advantages. And for us, that's our people, your processes, everything that you have internally should be really tight and strong and constantly revisited. How you do business, how you do your processes, continuous improvement is something, because there is, whatever's happening in Russia and with China, everywhere actually. Obviously that affects all the businesses, even the big businesses who are our clients. So everybody would like to make sure that they are able to get the most out of their buck. Whatever they pay out should be there. So everybody wants discounts, everybody wants the best and the mostest, if there is a mostest service, but at a very, very, very low price. So how do you deliver that? Right? You have to have scale, definitely. And at the same time, you have to develop your people. It is these times when you should not, to me personally, and maybe as an HR practitioner, it's the time when you should not stop developing people. It's in fact the time to develop people and go for growth. As he said, right? They're targeting Indian market. That's growth. So it's how you retain business. So and that means taking care of them, not just catering to everything that they ask for, but really being a thought leader, suggesting improvements to their business, etc. So that you are really a partner, not just a provider or a vendor. So retaining business and then going for growth. Across, so that and that means that for you to have growth, you have to be attractive. And what are the clients looking for? You have to be strong in that. And since in our industry it's really people, we have to make sure that our people, their work speak for themselves. That's the only way that you can retain. Because sometimes businesses exit, your accounts exit, not because you're poor service. It's just that they need to do their own strategies in order to survive what's happening in the market. And there are so many things going on, right? It's not really just the recession, it's everything. So making smart choices in business. So, but it's what's really key is how you recession-proof, because that will always come. Or how do you make sure that you are ready for growth? And I think that across industries, right, when there's no growth, you have to prepare for growth. When there's no new business, it's very difficult to get even organic businesses. You have to prepare for it. That's when really prepare and gear up. So that's just my thought. Hope it helps.
If I may jump in, I was part of the Philippine Development Plan, 2023-2030. Gave me the optimism. It's very bright, at least for 5 years. But we really have to make sure they are being implemented and even talk to our friends in the district. We have so many, if I may, We have so many stupid laws that make us less globally competitive. Yeah, we really our economy and population 25 years old, demographic soft spot. The rest of the world is aging. There's so many, even the location of our country, it's already given. All superpower countries are interested in our islands. For more than 350 years, we're the Asia-Pacific hub Spanish rule. 50 years the Americans, so is the British, 40 the Japanese. So it's already a given because of our strategic location. We are 400 times the size of Singapore, 350 times as Hong Kong, 8 times Taiwan, 3 times Korea. So we should be in the top 10 economies of the world. First, address our stupid laws. I'm sorry, man.
No, but June is right. We've got a good future ahead here. Philippines really is a place to be. Let's welcome Maurice Regis of Airspeed to give away some trophies to these fans.